won't take that much time also.
Yeah.
Okay, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to today's live stream. I was about to say podcast. And we are currently in the process of just chit chatting, I think, because we are waiting for Hemant. So, whoever is here, hi, and thank you for being here. I believe one of them will be Varun, one of them might be Chris Patrick, and yeah, I think I'm and Amartya and Sanjeet if he is coming. I'm not sure, but yes, hi guys. I hope you guys have seen both Poor Thing. I mean, you have 100% seen Barbie, but I hope you've also gotten the time to see Poor Things because we will be discussing it with spoilers and everything. Okay, yeah. So Chris Patrick is here. Thank you. Have you seen both films, Chris? We would like to know. And we have Aryan with us already. He's on time today, so I think I can give him a round of applause. So, but yes, yes, Varun, thank you for coming. I can't see you. You get the count of people on top, and I can only see one person. Varun, go off incognito.
I was gonna
So
say that you
okay.
might as well give me a hand of applause since everything with the title and mention of Barbie is getting the same rating.
You liked it, no?
Upon rewatch, I didn't. I was fine with it. On my first viewing, I was like, really, like, is Greta Gerwig going here? But
But
yeah,
you
it's
didn't
I
even
can
like Little Women
understand.
that much, no?
I don't like that movie. No, no, no. Little Women I like a lot, a lot.
Okay.
But compared to Lady Bird, it's definitely
Oh, so you like Lady Bird most, so the
yeah,
graph is
yeah,
going downwards.
yeah, yeah. I think it's the same sort of thing that has happened with me, even with Noah Baumbach, apart from Marriage Story. But I
Hmm.
actually like his earlier films a lot more, even something like The Squid and the Whale. But
It's good. Squid in the Whale is really
yeah, it's really good.
yucky.
I
It's
even
like
like that.
very disgusting. You like white
It is.
noise.
I'm not watched that. Still, I
Very,
still
but
want.
I admire the swing though, huh? Like, because I'm not as crazy about Noah Baumbach as you guys are. I think I like him, but I don't like love his work.
Hmm.
Uh, I was sort of just impressed by him taking a stylistic swing. Anyways,
No,
Chris, you
definitely.
have seen Poor Things, so yes, I will be very interested to talk about. I think that's the movie we will be starting with, but we are still waiting on Hemant. We can wait for 2 minutes more, I think,
No, that should be
because I think he's seen it about two times, and I think he
oh
might have
nice.
actually read Poor Things, so which would
Uh,
be a very interesting,
hmm.
conversation to do.
It's a 60s
Uh,
novel, right? 60s
I
novel?
don't. I'm not sure about the time period, but I have a lot of. I did make a lot of other notes on the
Yeah,
comparisons that I was reading
I
about.
had to make a long ass piece on the film for that list, but even I've like I don't remember.
It's fascinating though. Like again, I remain pleasantly surprised that Yorgos Lanthimos is becoming a mainstream name.
Exactly.
So without
And
losing
it's
his sensibility. So
I watched Poor Things before, not just before you guys, but before the Oscar nominations were even announced. Okay, and right after watching it, I was like, oh my god,
oh
again,
yeah, I
again,
wonder
again.
where. Yeah, sorry.
So no, no, no. So I watched the film, and then even after the Oscars, the nominations were announced. I didn't even bother or care to look into how many nominations this film has gotten because I was like, of course, this movie is not getting a lot of. It won't get a lot of traction, at least in
Because
the
it's too
Oscars. And then,
risky. It's about
and
so much. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly, and then some 20 days after the norms were announced, I saw in some poster or while I was writing this piece, I guess that n- nominated for 8 Oscars, and I'm like, what? Or
I
10? I don't know.
yeah.
Was it 8 or 10?
I'm not sure about the exact count, but I know it's for best film, best director also, right? Lanthimos is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Best
Uh,
film, best director, best
Best
actress,
film,
of course.
director, actress, supporting actor,
Production design,
um,
hairstyle, and
production
makeup, of
design,
course.
costume. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think all that, the technicalities. I'm not sure if cinematography is because, I like Yorgos a lot, but he is doing
yeah.
some wacky stuff in this film with his camera and lenses.
But I was
Yeah.
like, upon watching, so as you know, I
You watched the
watched Poor
favorite
Things
afterwards,
before.
right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I watched it for the first time after having watched Poor Things.
Hmm.
And watching the favorite, I realized that, oh, so he is not always going overboard with unnecessarily using the fisheye
In
lens.
Favorite, I think
It's
had
very,
a couple of instances which were
yeah, but they were very
yeah.
much in context with the themes because they were,
Hmm.
adding on to that
Yeah,
paranoid
yeah.
feel of
I
it.
mean, it's a much more closed in movie also, right? Because it's about
Exactly.
one place, whereas
Yeah,
this
yeah.
sort of is an adventure that sort of goes outside and
Definitely.
everything also. So,
And of course, we would
hmm.
go deeper into discussing this film, and I would love to know your thoughts because I really don't know what you. I mean, I do know now
No,
that
you
you
know,
like.
but yeah, like I mean, I guess I should preface this before we even start talking about these films. Is that oh, by the way, Varun? Yes, no Little Women hate. Fine, Varun likes Little Women.
How
Uh,
I, it's
yeah.
yeah.
I hope people got the double on whatever. Anyways, unlike who doesn't read, and also unlike, oh wow, that's good
Oh
slander,
God.
Varun. Good slander. It's not that I don't read. It's the hierarchy of reading and watching which is
Yeah.
jumbled for me. So basically, if there's something, an opportunity to watch, an opportunity to read, okay, Robbie Ryan is
Same for
nominated
me,
for
I
an
guess.
Oscar for Poor Things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are good at listening to podcasts and everything. I am less so. Uh, and given I'm part of making one, it's quite ironic that I don't listen to
No, but
that
then
many.
I can understand not everyone listens to 4 hours
No, no,
long podcasts on
I honestly don't listen
deconstruction.
because I don't listen because I have to edit a lot of the episodes, right? So I mean, I'm just like
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to get more
You're
into that. So
already repulsed by listening to too much of my voice.
nay, nay, by all of our voice. He
Yeah.
also shot Dhruv. Oh, interesting. Robbie Ryan shot The Old Oak. Very interesting.
Hmm.
Um,
Have you guys
I
watched the
mean,
CI?
I've not seen it. I didn't hear the
Is
best
it
of things
out?
actually about Old Oak. Yeah, it's out. It's out wherever it needs
I've
to be.
not. I don't think I've watched any of his films, to be honest.
You've not watched any
Not.
Ken Loach film.
I don't think so. I have very
Watch.
limited. I have done Mike Lee entirely,
Hmm.
but not yet delved into his filmography.
Kes, definitely watch Kes. That's the main inspiration for um, Udan. One of the main inspirations
Okay,
for
okay,
Vikramaditya Motwan is Udan.
okay, okay.
Uh, oh God, please Varun, stop. Uh, it's about saving a bar. देखनी चाहिए such noble story. Yeah, okay. So yes. Anyways, I was about to say, and Hemant is joining us in 2 minutes. So just waiting
Hmm.
for him, and I'll sort of preface saying something about sort of poor things by just saying I'm a fairly ardent Yorgos Lanthimos fan. Like I think
Hmm.
he is I would say one of my favorite current working directors.
Contemporary.
So, and I think I was sort of thinking about this, right? And one of the first notes I made after I watched the movie was it doesn't matter to me if there are, thematically, or there are, if it is thematically shallow also, and if it's slightly less
Hmm.
complex. I generally um, sort of forgive a lot of films which make me laugh, and Poor
Hmm.
Things was very consistent in making me laugh. So I think a
Yeah.
lot of the things I'm going to say sort of because I think there's a particular strain of humor which he taps into that I really enjoy, because it's slightly discomforting, but it's also like uh, very very forthright actually in a way.
And exactly,
So
it is the text, right?
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is very
So
immediate.
and of course it's also the pronunciations of the
But
way the people say.
in a way that it works, unlike Barbie.
Okay, interesting. No, no, that's fair. We see. I'm glad. So even though the title of this sort of
Yeah.
um, last part of our Oscars wala thing is the plasticity of reality. I was
Yeah.
thinking after watching Poor Things, it's so weird to put a Lanthimos movie in this, because Lanthimos's movies are so airtight in general. They're so
Hmm.
like about how society is constructed into these really tightly regimented norms and
Hmm.
traditions, and how people have to sort of either operate within them and sort of try to break free from them. So I think whoever's not seen his other work, I would recommend, if you like Poor Things. Poor Things is probably his most quote unquote commercially friendly work, I would say, which is
Definitely. I
still a
mean, it
fair, yeah,
grossed
which
more
is
than $100 million worldwide. So
what? No
yeah,
ways.
Yeah, yeah. It is,
No
and
ways.
I was, as I said, I was astonished by the acclaim that the film has gotten from
Hmm.
across the board while I was writing that piece that I eventually got published last week. Because,
Wow.
and again, 2024, 2023, right? It's not just a great year for the audience's taste evolving and them in a way pushing back against
Hmm.
the shithole that we had been getting with these IP driven superhero led movies, franchise
Hmm.
based movies. But
You have
it's
finally given
astounding.
up on
It's
them.
no, it's great because see,
Hmm.
even at $100 million, okay, Poor Things is still the fourth highest grossing Best Picture nominee of this year, which
I
is
mean, that's
like it is
no.
saying something, right?
I'm the shocked it's made 100 million. It's insane.
I
Like
mean,
my
it's
mind
and
finds.
it is.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, once Heyman comes and once we're all together talking about the film, we would
Hmm.
definitely get into the thematics of the movie
Hmm.
and how it's playing out, and about the lead performance, of course. But before that, it's just I mean, Poor Things, if you look at it, it's just the kind of film that cinephiles and people, critics in general, have been talking about since the past 5, 7 years. That these are precisely the kind of films that cinema needs right now because it's not only a very outlandish original, not original, it's still a Frankenstein story,
Frankenstein story. Yeah.
but it's still a very imaginative, dynamic world that is very subjective to the director's own vision,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even
Of
the
course. Of
writer that
course.
he's been collaborating since the favorite,
Two
it's
films.
crazy
Yeah.
to think. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
crazy to think how much aligned their weird outlook
Yeah.
toward the
I
world
mean,
is that you
again,
couldn't
very
tell,
weird to
right?
see. Yeah,
You
because
couldn't
again,
tell.
I
I
couldn't
was shocked.
imagine.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine someone else in English
aligning
writing
it. Yeah,
a film which Yorgos would direct. His sensibility is so specific, and we have
exactly.
Hemant here, whose username is really nice. So, uh,
Hello.
hi Hemant, how are you? We can't hear you, but we will wait for your audio to arrive. Anyways, we you can hear us, right? So we'll fill you in on whatever we've been talking. We haven't started discussing any of the films specifically, but we've been talking about just generally me being a Yorgos fan and Yorgos' sensibilities and your audio is on
And
mute.
myself. Yeah.
Wait, okay, you have to unmute it.
I think he's just changing his settings, I guess. So, uh, no, but that's what I was saying. That not only is it very outlandish in its approach and it's very original, dynamic, whatever, but
hmm,
it's also the kind of mid-budget film that we have not been getting, and the kind
hmm,
of mid-budget film that actually ended up doing very, very well, right? And
hmm.
it's still Killers of the Flower Moon still ended up earning more than Poor Things, but still it's not a success because it was
Your audio is still on mute, huh, Hemant? Now, can you speak?
hmm.
Still not. We can't hear. Um, No, so sorry. So no, but you can hear us. That
No,
means.
no.
Anyway, I was saying that yes. So I think me and Aryan were talking about just Yorgos' style a little bit and how it's unusual. I think to see his work be super popular
Yeah.
in the mainstream actually. So I think we were mostly discussing how that works. Again, no, can't hear. Can I just
Try
quit
from
and join
the
again? No.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that will.
Yeah.
And I think even the academy is very smart enough to pick up on that because uh,
Hmm.
that it could be a reason that because it earned more than like thrice on its esteemed budget, perhaps that's a bigger reason why it got much more traction at the
Hmm.
awards. And also the way it was marketed, it was very, very well anticipated in all the circles because we know how delayed the how fractured the release of the film was in different countries and even in different
Mhm.
states within
I
countries, right?
mean, again,
And
I knew that this is the one film that will definitely not, I mean, would not benefit from releasing in India or Dubai because these
of
places will
course, yeah,
butcher the film to pieces.
yeah.
I'm back, hopefully.
Ah, good, good, done,
Yes,
done.
you are. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I was just gonna say I'm Bella Barbie. I've been brought
Yes,
back. I've been
I
brought
know,
back
I
to
know, I
life.
know.
That I
I
had
was
that one
mentioned
joke.
that.
I had that one joke, and that's all I'm gonna go with.
No, but it's a
Uh,
great one to go with. But anyway, so I think so we've been discussing more about Oscars and Yorgos Lanthimos in general. I'll
yeah,
start now discussing directly Poor Things first and then Barbie. So Poor Things is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, if you were hearing us, and is written by Tony McNamara, who wrote his previous film with the co-writer, I think, The Favorite.
yeah.
And
And
this
also the
film is
next film.
based. Yeah, he's writing his next film also. Okay, this is based on the novel by Alice Dyer Gray of the same title, Poor Things. It's shot by Robbie Ryan, music by Jerskin Pendrix, I think. Editor is a regular Yorgos Lanthimos guy, Yorgos Mavrop Saridis, I think, if I'm not sorry for butchering that name. But no, so whoever's unfamiliar with the film, and Varun, you can mute your mic from now. We'll be going spoilers, and I know you've not seen. Mute your headphones. I mean, you've not seen Poor Things. So yeah, I think the story in general is a sort of fish eye out of the water sort of story. I don't know how else to
Great pun.
fish.
10 on 10.
I was trying to think of a better ways to sort of integrate it, but never mind. Anyways, I borrowed the synopsis a little bit from IMDb. So it's very much about the incredible tale about the fantastical adventure of Baxter, a young woman brought back to life by the brilliant and unorthodox scientist Dr.
To
Godwin
say the
Goodwin
least.
Baxter. So yeah, I think that's a pretty apt sort of way of describing it, and I think one of see you during Barbie. Okay, okay. So sorry, I was reading Varun's comments. No, so
Average
yeah,
guys after before their Oppenheimer screening. But
yes, but no, I think the big thing about Poor Things, I think, is I'll just go and sort of give not initial views as such, but I think just connect it a little bit to his previous films because I thought I was struck by the fact that there were connections because I had heard a lot about this being a super. It is a very body sex comedy, and it is a pretty outrageously maximalist work. What you would say compared
Yeah,
to Lanthimos is generally much more pared down style, but except for I think favorite, he started to swing a little
yeah.
bit into his sort of fisheye lenses and whatever whip pans and all
But
that he's doing. And I
yeah,
was like, I
his
don't remember
production is
the
consistent.
camera moving in Dogtooth, which is like very
Yeah,
interesting to
yeah,
see. The contrast in filmmaking. But no,
yeah.
I mean, I think this reminded me, and I'm might be giving slight spoilers for Dogtooth, but essentially it's sort of what happens if the person in Dogtooth escapes and lives a
Yeah,
life on their own,
yeah,
essentially. Like
yeah,
to me, it was
yeah,
like this is essentially that in a way,
yeah, yeah.
because
that's what I
it's
wrote when
about.
I watched Doctor for the first time. That it's
You
basically
can, it's okay, Doctor. That's not a movie
what did I
that
write? I don't
really
know.
it's spoilery. You can just tell the story. It's okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very much about like three children who are quote unquote homeschooled or
Yeah,
home trained,
Hmm.
like dogs
yeah.
essentially. And there is a scene where they are made to act
Yeah,
like dogs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's very much about how essentially I mean, you can extrapolate it a little bit to totalitarianism, or you can think about it just simply
Helicopter
as a.
mommies.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Like a
another
Indian story,
looking at,
like
yeah,
a very
exactly.
Asian story,
Very, it
which
is
is
No, but
actually a very Asian story, honestly. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Sorry, you were
exactly.
saying,
And you know,
happy
Arun?
ending.
no, that's also even with this first film, it's crazy how people everywhere have had different
Okay.
interpretations of what Doctor meant. Because I read somewhere that the people in the UK had this reading of the film that it's basically like the Tories taking over and the conservative push and pull between the conservatives and the
Mm-hmm.
liberals. In the US, it was obviously like homeschooling, and all of us in Asia and in the East are like, oh, this is how
This is
parenting
our
should
life.
like. Yeah,
Yes.
and this is what I
No,
wrote
but
basically after
mhm.
watching. I watched Doctor after having watched Poor Things, and it's Doctor. This basically Poor Things before it came out. came of age in the new world and stopped caring about the doctor.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I think that's a fascinating way. That's the first thing that sort of came to my mind also. And then I think
Yeah.
there's this idea of, to me at least, there was this idea of people like her, our protagonist Bella Baxter, being stuck essentially in very different sorts, different types of prisons in a way, or you want to say different types of systems, which is one of course,
Yeah.
capital is there, of course, and
Constructs,
then there's,
different types of
yeah,
constructs.
constructs also, like socialism becomes one thing, and then capitalism is of course the whole governing thing here.
Yeah.
And then there is this whole angle of science meeting body horror slash absurd humor, which is Killing of the Sacred Deer. So again, I was like, there's a lot of his earlier work in this,
Well,
even though I didn't sort of
I think
think,
the absurdism
yeah,
is a big through line for him anyway, right? Like
yes,
he's
yes,
someone
yes,
who
yes,
does not take his narratives too seriously, but he takes his
yes,
Hmm.
character seriously.
yep.
He's more of he's a very character driven director, I feel. And I don't see plot in any of it. I don't I have when I saw Lobster, I was like, this is like, come on, like where is this going? I have no idea. And after a point, you kind of let go of that, like you let go of that idea of like having a plot as like this, like
Yeah.
chain.
Yeah, I think it's very
Then
much
you
like
can,
world building, but like I feel
yeah.
world building in this is so interesting because it mimics our world in a sort of extreme situation almost.
Right.
Like it
And also
pushes the,
it's subjective, right? Because almost everything is through the eyes of, well, okay. So can we get
Hmm.
into like the yeah,
So yeah,
can we,
we'll get into it. So first, Chris Patrick, this is the first time you watched. This is amazing. I would love to know if you liked it or hated it, because I feel he can
yeah.
very much give you both reactions. Though I feel this one I think has redeeming qualities for people who might dislike it also, right? So I think it's yeah, but I'm curious to know what you thought about it. And Amartya says Dogtooth is basically, well, yeah,
Lanthimos
Haneke is a
being
good.
Haneke.
He's a blueprint for a lot of European filmmakers in any case. But again, I think the great thing about Lanthimos is that he has very much juggled it now into
Yeah.
like doing different things. And if you see his first film, actually, it's super weird. It's not very good, but it's very like super weird in a not Lanthimosian sense. Like it's
Yeah.
very,
It kind of is
it's
Gilliam-esque,
almost like a
right?
silent. It's almost like a
It's
silent movie. It's very weird.
it
Yeah.
yeah, it is, and it also has that Gilliam kind of like pacing, right? Like where
Yes.
it suddenly goes into like a serious when okay, where the serious conversations are happening, you don't actually hear anything,
Hmm.
and then you get into the like just the emotional reaction that's there,
Yep.
and that's more of like Gilliam.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
doesn't care
yeah, yeah.
about
Terry
what you're
Gilliam's are
talking
also
about.
another great reference point. He's
Absurdist,
directed
yeah.
films like
But
I think he's
I
almost
like his comment.
underrated now,
Yeah, I like his
right?
comment on
Mm.
Haneke is that the sensitivity is there. Like there's a lot of
Mhm.
sensitivity to characters. He's very aware of the fact that they are what the character is going through and
Yeah,
what the meta textual aspect is. Like, oh, if it's
yeah.
someone who's older, is it okay to be for that older person to be with this
Hmm.
young person and all that?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think okay, but that's very interesting. We will be discussing specific, Chris. So hope if you have any questions about what you were like more confused about, because there's parts of the film I just watched it today, so I'm still like wrestling with some of it. But if you have questions, please keep on dropping them as we talk. And Amartya is saying the fact that all people, yeah, I think so. It's very strange. I can't imagine. I couldn't ever imagine him being and a person who breaks into the mainstream by any stretch of it. I mean, I think people who are hardcore fans of his earlier work may have a complaint that he's gone softer, which he has. But like comparatively, Dogtooth is really it goes
Have
for it in
has anyone
some.
seen Kenetta?
I have seen Kanata. I saw
Okay.
it recently only. That's the very strange one, which is like almost like a silent film, and like there's
Okay.
no plot, and it's following three people who are just like, yeah, it's very. Anyways,
Okay.
I think the style develops from Dogtooth. Then
Yeah.
Alps is similarly very Greek weird wave as he belongs to, and then there's Lobster, I think, which is one of his finest
Yeah.
works, and Killing of a Sacred Deer is there. So yeah,
I think
so I
okay.
think yeah, yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I think
Go
like
ahead,
his
Bella Barbie. I will just call you that. I won't call you Hemant for this episode. Yeah.
no, like I have seen Alps. I felt like Alps was where he started to get his tone, or at least his
Sure.
his pace of the whole movie.
Pacing.
Talk to this is like weirdly paced. Like it's not
Hmm.
your second half kind of like just rushes into an end. And they're just trying to make that point of like, oh well, are they going to be stuck? Are they going to escape? And that whole question is left
I, for some
unanswered.
reason, thought that film has a happy ending, and I rewatched
Me
it, and
too,
I was
yeah.
like,
Me too, yeah. I felt like, but it's like a kind of like a weird
no, no, it's not
making you think
ambiguous.
like
Also, this
it's
time, huh?
no,
But I was like, how will this
it's
happen? Like, how? Where will you?
how
Where will
where
you
yeah,
go?
exactly, where will they, how will they survive?
Yeah,
And yeah, so
yeah,
again, yeah, so in
yeah.
Alps I really felt like it
Hmm.
made more sense because the story, there was somewhat of a
Sure.
story for it to like
Huh.
actually
Fair enough.
propel the
Fair
character
enough.
to
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
having some kind of resolution. But yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But I think
Yeah. So
it's
I think
very
we'll.
it's interesting
No, no,
how
sir.
he's evolved after Secret Deer, I think, because and that's
Sacred
also part
Deer,
of the reason.
sorry, Sacred Deer is his Kubrick film and probably his most sadistic film out of all the films
Probably
I
his
think I've
weakest
seen.
film as well, from what
I
I
don't
think.
think so, but I mean, I enjoy how sickly funny that film is. It's like a
Yeah.
torture chamber for art house. It's basically like Funny Games. This is his Haneke or whatever.
No, I think I
Yeah.
was probably not high on that because I was expecting it to be, that typical A24 or
No, no,
horror,
no. It's typical
psychological.
Lanthimos as
Yeah.
Lanthimos as
I
Lanthimos
actually
can be.
kind
That's
of compared it to Lars von Trier's like earlier work.
Yeah,
Very
yeah. He's.
similar in the kind of like the humor. I'm not just talking about the humor, not
Hmm.
the thematic aspects. They're two completely
Hmm.
different people, yeah.
uh,
But just the humor part of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
but
No, no.
as I was
That's
saying that
true. Hmm.
he's very also very playing it very smart. I don't know whether it's consciously or not, but from the favorite, and especially with Poor Things, it's the way he combines steampunk aesthetics with this pseudo historical alt reality. It almost helps
It's
the film in
30s and
yeah
20s, no, almost 20s
Victorianism.
expressionism and
Yeah,
30s. No, I mean the sort of really expressionistic sort of set designs and
it's
everything are sort
proper
of.
steampunk, I think. Even the favorite and the Poor Things, and even the steampunk aesthetics. It's the blend and the dichotomy of the steampunk aesthetics with the alt history reality of the story. It
Mhm,
makes the violence and even the grotesque seem very, very palpable. And I think that's
mhm.
played to its most benefit with Poor Things because we talked about the numbers that it has done over the
This
box
is
office.
someone called Hemant
And
Ganti who's not with us right now. He's yeah, you're saying you're Bella
yeah,
Barbie for this
Who
episode.
is
No?
this guy? I don't
I
know.
wonder
Yeah, I
who.
don't know.
Too
Yeah, but yeah,
self-important.
yeah. But I think that's a very. We will discuss. I think so. Let's actually start the meat of the sort of discussion on Poor Things. I mean, I'll get Heyman to speak first. I think you've seen it twice, right? And it's your favorite
Yes.
film of last year, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
And
This
have
is
you
the
read the
best one
novel?
of all the. Yes, I have finished it finally. Like,
Okay, so that's a very. I want to know because I was reading a little bit about the comparisons a little bit. But anyways,
yeah.
please fill us in on what you sort of
Okay,
think
so the
about.
no,
Yeah.
okay. I wanted to have I joined the live stream for the first time with the other two lit people, the Varun and
Hindrala. Yeah.
Mahendrala,
Yeah.
and I wanted to like actually talk to them about like adaptation again because
You are with the wrong
this
people.
this is like this is like Wes Anderson in
Book of Henry Sugar
no,
or
no,
apart from
from
that.
just Grand Budapest. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a telling of a
Uh,
retelling of a retelling. So it's three layers, right, in the book. Okay, and even
yep.
in the movie, it's kind of like well they mention that this is in the like the perspective of McCandless, but then
Yeah.
shifts
mm,
perspective to Bella.
Hmm.
yeah.
So
And also, there is the whole fairy tale-ish aspect to it, like that distance. Because I think the embroidery of the fabric sort of make up like a Alice in Wonderland almost, like she's
yeah,
going into the
yeah,
castle, Wizard of Oz
yeah,
thing, or whatever it is, right? Which
yeah.
will a reference which will come again when we
Yes,
talk
yeah.
about Barbie. But
This
yes,
well,
sorry,
both
go
of them
ahead. Yeah.
have that like person behind the curtain also. But
Yeah.
in this case, you have someone who you think might be evil, but it isn't.
Yeah.
but they really
Hemant,
aren't.
be ready to fight.
I'm about to fight, man. We fight. We have to duel for that. Oh yeah, okay, cool. I mean, he has read the book. He is gonna know how disappointing it will be. Like so, so.
Oh God.
Uh, anyway,
No,
but
no, but
yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
but back to the
Hmm.
book. In this, you have so the in the novel, Alice J. Gray had spoken with someone called Michael Donnelly, who had
Hmm.
collected historical documents about this, and this is all based on like one manuscript that he found by
Hmm.
accident in a lawyer's
Hmm.
office. So like
Hmm.
the craziness of like how this story was even written is amazing.
Hmm.
And he that Michael Donnelly guy actually hates Alistair Gray because he lost the manuscript during while they were scanning the pages. Like imagine
Okay.
like this has happened to me. I can
This is
totally understand. I've lost all original documents while scanning them
Hmm.
before Cam Scanner was there. Um,
yeah.
And
but
before it got banned, yeah.
oh yeah, that also. And after a point, you find out that this is all being told in the perspective of McCandless, who had written
Hmm.
the book about his wife,
Yes.
and the wife actually helped publish it. But she also says that that McCandless's words are completely untrue. This is completely this is not factual at all. This is all fiction,
Yep.
and her life is also in the second half of the book is more told in her perspective. So the perspective part of the movies actually holds very well to the book,
Hmm.
and all the detail is the only detail that's lost is all the stuff that's there in the medical school and how the
Okay.
medical school like
Like the
learnings and
internal
everything.
politics of it, or is
No,
it?
no, it was just what the work that McCandless was doing. There was some
Sure.
politics, or like then they're kind of outcasts. McCandless and Gordon Baxter, both of them are
Hmm.
outcasts. And
Hmm.
Baxter has when the best character in the whole book and the movie, the best part of the whole movie is definitely Willem Dafoe's Gordon Baxter.
Okay.
I love that
Interesting. Yeah.
character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like an answer to all the. It's just like if Guillermo del Toro would have a hard on for watching this because he has that thing of characters who are like kind of like
Then he would have
misshapen.
been animated, but yeah.
Yeah, or they're completely misshapen characters who have this sensitivity to them. You know, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hellboy,
exactly.
Hellboy's
Yeah.
dad. You know,
Yeah.
Exactly,
like
exactly, yeah.
people who are like doing the wrong thing, but actually in the end they're actually caring for that
Hmm.
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So that
And
is
even
something.
they are, even the doubt is very much there, right? That, oh, am I manipulating her? I have to let her be. That's why he
Yeah.
lets her
But he
be.
has
But I
that
think
conversation,
with
right? Like he has that his motivation and his intent is being
Exactly.
questioned by himself. So
Yeah.
it
hmm.
is something that that's not someone who like Frankenstein would not do it.
Yeah.
Frankenstein
Yeah.
was more into creating a monster. So
Yeah,
this
but
is
that's
a
very much about science being the enemy, right? I think this is
right.
actually not
Exactly.
that.
That's
Yeah.
exactly hitting the nail
Hmm.
on the
Hmm.
coffin.
Hmm.
This is a antithesis to all gothic monster stories
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
science was the enemy. Here they
Hmm.
actually defend science. They
Hmm.
defend the scientific method. And this
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
why I'm biased that this is like my favorite movie is that there's a sense of there is a sensitivity given to being that logical, but also
Yeah.
understanding that this has a consequence to a person,
Yeah.
and it's their life that's
And
being
to
affected,
society.
and society.
Hmm.
Yeah, and what does
Hmm.
this mean for people who are reanimated? What does this mean for that
Hmm.
dog in the end?
Hmm.
or
Well, that I don't think that means much apart from just being a very good gag,
yeah.
but and being, I guess,
Again,
giving someone who's evil a good comeuppance. I mean, I
yeah,
think,
or else if you
yeah.
wanna let's get it back to patriarchy, Prabhi. and
Probably
that'll
also.
show him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, but it's very interesting what you're talking about the perspectives part. I mean, we'll get
yeah,
into it. Aryan, you
so
can elaborate. Sorry,
right.
finish your thoughts and
So
then Aryan
the
will
novel,
add. Yeah.
just talking in the context of the novel has it goes almost exactly as the movie. It's a very short novel. It's like 300
Okay.
pages. Yeah,
Okay.
and you kind of get an idea of Bella's story, but it's
Hmm.
not really you're not really getting her journey, like
Okay.
where she when she goes into the brothel.
Hmm.
That part of the story is something that's denied in the book, where the
Okay.
kindness doesn't want to accept the fact that that was
Sure. Okay.
her
Okay. Okay.
journey,
Okay.
but
Hmm.
it is accepted by Victoria or
Yeah.
Bella.
Hmm.
that this is part of my journey, this is my backstory, this is how I learned that there are different kinds of men
Different.
and there are different kinds of women who are trying to actually get up in the world, and the only way they could actually get out of their
Hmm.
social strata was going through a brothel,
Brothel. Yeah.
or having well, there is a sexual awakening that needs to
But
happen.
okay, so we'll
Yeah,
do. I mean, we'll discuss a little bit more about this because I'm very curious about
yeah.
what you guys think.
So
But
that's
Aryan,
really all
yeah,
about the novel.
hmm,
Yep. Go on, Hari.
yeah,
Hmm. No, I mean, for someone who's not read the novel but
hmm,
knows the Frankenstein-esque nature of the story
hmm,
and the entire
Yeah.
nature versus nurture angle that the film
hmm,
brings up, it's
hmm,
still the most surprising thing that sticks out as it stands alone as a film on its own is that the way Lanthimos, plays with layers of artifice and texture over here to instill us in a very deliberately uncanny sense. As I said,
hmm,
it just makes the world, even the grotesqueness of it, very very palatable,
but
right?
okay, hmm,
And it's again, even while it sets up the Godwin character as this evil at first, and then
hi, he's God, right? I mean, it's a
yeah,
very, it's like I like when
Yeah.
he was speaking, it was like a God comp. I was like, he has a God complex clearly, considering. Well, it's not. And I think what
but
Hemant has said
then
about the
when you
no, what
see
Hemant
where
is,
that
huh?
go on, go on,
What
go on.
Hemant said about the sort of I like him. He also has his own problems in the sense of his
Exactly, that
deformity. I think is
Right.
is is
yeah,
is one of those things where he's like people think of him as like a not a ghost. What was it? Demon,
Cool.
cruel,
yeah,
something
yeah.
ghoul. Yeah. So I think it was. So I think with him, so it's very understandable from that angle why he would, in the first place, even create Bella or create or rely on science to thrive or survive, and sort of.
Hmm.
So I'm so again go ahead, Aryan, complete. I'm very curious about the relationship between
No,
these
no, as
two.
you said, it
Hmm.
it makes us see through the God complex of Godwin's character, but then it also recognizes where that God complex is coming from.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
we get to know that his father played around with him and treated him like a prop.
Oh yeah,
Just
there's that. Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
yeah, he
Hmm.
removed his two of his glands, and yeah, it led to some again consequences in his own
Yeah.
life.
What is that bubble thing? Can I
He
what's
removed
the
he removed one of the exocrine glands, and that's why he has to,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, is that
because
just a wacky
his
touch
body
or is that
can't
okay? Okay.
process
Have you
food
eaten too
very
much
easily.
pani puri? That's what it feels like. All that sound inside, that usually would come out, but it doesn't.
No, but so
Fair
last
enough.
year,
Yeah.
not just last year, but since the past couple of years, we've been seeing a lot of films that are sold in the name of being these feminist
Oh God, this is
movies.
gonna
And no, no,
bite me back in the next part
Get
of
it. Let's get cancelled.
they are sold and they are boasted for being these feminist movies, but I've always questioned like whether a film like Bottoms or a film like whatever is it
like whatever. What is
is it
whatever?
no, but
Barbie.
when you
We are
yeah,
talking about.
like, is it feminist satire? Is feminist satire deep or dumb? Right. This movie actually transcends beyond those two because
Yeah.
the very emotional connection that the protagonist develops with the quirky Godwin character, right? It's
Yeah.
almost secondary to her motivation, right? It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like the mad scientist is a secondary motivator for her. And
Mm-hmm.
that also helps the film be more interesting as it's told from her perspective, from Bella's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why even the existential themes that Lanthimos is very well known for at this point, they are very very much palpable because they are told to this fantastical visuals.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love it. Yeah, as I said, it's just the kind of film that we need right now. It's a mid-budget film that is going
Mm-hmm.
out with these very existential themes that are very current. And we know Barbie and Oppenheimer both were very avant-garde in some of its
Mm-hmm.
in some of their construct, and
Mm-hmm.
yet they were deeply existential films. I think
Yes.
this film tries to juggle. 2023 will go down as this year, not just of uh, these original movies becoming event films, but of these films tapping into that very cultural sensibilities that is very in the moment. Even when
Yeah.
these movies, these stories are borrowing
But
from.
yeah, but I feel those are like just the universal themes of the film, right? If you're tackling
Yeah.
gender and sexuality and, politics, even, like there's you can say this is also part of the quote unquote eat the rich narrative a little bit. So anyways, I think what you guys have said is very interesting. I think one of the I again, to reiterate, I'm a big Yorgos fan, so it is not a surprise to me that I very much clicked with this film. Just, and I'm saying just in terms of sheer laughter rate and just being entertained by a film, I was like thoroughly entertained almost throughout the way.
Yeah.
But what you guys are bringing up about Willem Dafoe's character and Emma Stone's character, and we'll talk about the performances also in some time. But I think what I like a lot of the movie, which what I was seeing throughout was this idea, at least for me, was that she in a way only gets freedom in these pockets of time. Like to me it felt like as you guys are saying, like I never felt in the beginning that god complex was in any sort a moral thing, or even morally complex. And like for me it was like, to me in my head was like, okay, he is doing something fairly evil and manipulative, considering he's controlling her like a baby essentially, and that's what his assistant wants to do by marrying her also to some extent, right? And then Mark Ruffalo's character comes and he also kind of wants to just want the baby side of her essentially, rather than the intellectualized, almost the smarter side essentially. So I think like it was very interesting to me that you guys said that there was this emotional thing with the Willem Dafoe character, because I actually feel I am trying to sort of make sense of the ending more than anything else, right? Because for me it's like I'm surprised that the film ends on a triumphant note, because I thought that her going back there, like to me the whole film was essentially her not finding a place actually anywhere. Even the brothel for me is like this sexual emancipation that she gets for the first time and then enjoys with Mark Ruffalo. When she goes to the brothel, it's almost like she says that she feels numb. She doesn't feel anything now, and I felt the film is really leaning hard on that direction, where the idea of her growing up actually is quote unquote fitting into the society,
Yes.
and there's
Yeah.
this idea, another idea running throughout this film, which is this this black character actually comes on the ship, and
Yeah.
he talks about sort of cruelty and how we are cruel beasts, and we are sort of only thing we are, and he's the cynic, and I suppose I related very much to his perspective more so, which is why I was looking a little bit through his perspective, and I was thinking towards the end, she adopts the way of the cruel scientist, quote unquote cruel,
Yeah.
to get her liberation in a sense. So has she sort of that's her, so basically is the point then that she can only grow up in the world by adopting cruelty as a measure? Because but I don't think the film treats it like a sort of dark moment. It's almost like a celebratory sort of people who will be really really terrible, which her earlier husband was, from whose possession the body was taken and then sort of
Right. Yeah.
rewired in a sense. So
Yeah.
I'm struggling more with the sort of what it's trying to say angle of it, rather than other angles, because but I would also like to clarify that even if by chance I get this uh, feeling after whatever a day or two that okay, it's a shallow movie, I don't think it is, but if I do get that feeling, I still will very much enjoy and like the film. Like, for me, the point of the film for me, like, there's lots of memorable things apart from that also in this film. And I think there's a real joy. And I think this is his most liberated film, like liberated in terms of camera movement, in terms of perspective, in terms of just, because the idea is for her to go and explore the world almost, right? And you're watching her explore the world. So there's this moment where she watches someone sing and it's almost like an epiphany for her. And then there's this whole idea of, and again, she voices a lot. And I think someone had mentioned to me that, the film is a bit too didactic. But I mean, what else will it be, considering she's the child and she's expressing her ideas, right? And she's told to almost. So I think all of that sort of fits into the film's themes very well. So I think, yeah, so I think it's very interesting in terms of that.
No, even if one were
Uh,
to
Just
rid
wait a
this
second. I
reading
want to
away.
validate our podcast with female presence for 1 second.
No,
So,
no, sure, sure.
Because we don't want a bunch of men talking about a woman's experience. But yeah, hi, I'm Marti Kumar. I'm Heman's wife. I'm
Hello.
female. I identify as a cis woman. And I validate that a bunch of men in their mid 20s are saying something right. Yeah, correct?
about poor things and Barbie, by the way.
About poor things
and Barbie.
Yeah.
and
Thank
Barbie.
you so much. We needed that validation, especially, I think. Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a bunch of comments actually I'll highlight first and then we can sort of go ahead. Chris Patrick, what surprised me most about the film was how easy it was for me to get on board. Okay, I was surprised in the first, but I didn't struggle. Sure, that's a great thing actually. I feel like to get because the film is weird. Like it is still weird. Like it's not like Lanthimos has quote unquote sold out his sensibilities. Like no one will make a film like this, especially the way he makes it. Also, so yeah, that's very interesting. And then Amartya is saying she doesn't fit in. She just co-opts her father's perspectives and creates a sort of parallel Socrates. It's celebrating
Society.
weirdness without judgment, kind of. Okay, fair enough, but I feel it's very weird to go that space to be just feels, I suppose, because it's where she has grown up and she's sort of, I think there's an offhand comment that she forgives them or something like that,
I
right?
thought that
Towards the
she
end.
doesn't. I feel like
Okay.
the forgiveness is something that's not really required in this situation.
Hmm.
So, okay, if I look at it, okay, there are two perspectives you can look at this. One is the perspective of just science, of someone who she grew up with someone as an experiment and then
Hmm.
realizes that. Have you seen Big Bang Theory?
I'd have not, but you
Okay,
can
so
go
there's a
ahead with that comparison. Run
yeah.
with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in
Yeah.
that, like, there's a whole arc about like the main character Leonard and his mom, and that she's a psychologist, and she kind of make like makes him an experiment or like a
Hmm.
project, like most
Hmm.
parents do,
Hmm.
and that informs her of
Hmm.
how kids are, but she never really has another kid to actually really try everything that she has learned. This is something
Hmm.
that she just does as a scientific exercise,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the same can be, and the whole arc is that the kid who is the project and the experiment grows up
Hmm.
learning that I was an experiment and I was something. There is no agency I have anymore because
Hmm.
of the fact that someone else was deciding what all my traits are supposed to be and what my experiences are and what it's testing, and everything
Hmm.
is a test, like, because in experiments everything is a
Of
test.
course. Hmm.
And this,
And
like,
in adolescence, everything seems like a
a
test.
test, yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that stress of it has eventually built up to a point of like, now this is trauma. And
Hmm.
to be able to forgive her and forgive himself, that is the only way that they can move on.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
in most cases, forgiveness is not something that can be earned that easily.
Yeah.
And the
And
only person who really earned forgiveness for her in her life
Godwin.
was Godwin. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And Godwin had been honest with her. He had
Hmm.
let her go, let her
Exactly.
grow, and
Hmm.
not made, and only to a point treated her like an experiment. And after it was done, he was done with all the assessment that he could do as like an experimenter. He
Hmm.
would not want her to be subject to that kind of stress or testing past that point and be able to just grow and have a sexual emancipation.
Yeah, yeah, that's very like I mean fascinating again. Like again, I'm all for films which generate this type of discussions. Like even because I'm thinking about it still. Like it's not the fact that I watched it and I'm like, oh, whatever. Like I am thinking about the idea of what the implications mean, what it doesn't mean. Does it mean? But the implications are after a point not that important to me with a film like this because I know it has inherent entertainment and inherent filmmaking value to it. And I think Amartya is saying something about the sexuality and using that as a means of emancipation. So I think the interesting thing I was thinking about in those terms was that she is essentially a creation of the man, which I thought was the thing that sort of
Hmm.
kept on nagging at me, and which is why I was like, why will she go back to that man and find that a happy home? Like, to me, I'm still sort of wrestling with that question. But I think the sexuality angle of it is fairly blunted when she goes to Paris,
Yeah.
essentially, and she has her experiences with a lot of men, and she realizes the numbness which sort of sets in for her. And I feel there are some things which I think the film needed to slightly do more, which is sort of, develop her relationship maybe a slightly bit more with the girl in the
Hmm.
place, because I
Yeah.
think there's an angle of queer love going on which I think
Yeah.
isn't explored as much. I think it's sort of just hinted at. But again, like, those are very much, minor things. But yes, Chris, I was not expecting that, but yes, we did get. Thank you, Bella Barbie, for that.
And we
Yes,
Uh,
also have to take
of
into
course.
consideration that she was the kind of creation that was always kept very in a very controlled environment. And once you let a teen or an adolescent,
yeah. The
when
whole
you give them,
explosion.
yeah,
Yeah.
it will eventually lead to a lot of sex in a way, right? And it
Yeah,
will
yeah,
Right.
she
the
found a
sex
happy place, or
Well,
happy what
the
okay.
happy
So,
awakening
thing.
came through sex, and then she was like, oh, there's not the world is not just
Then
about this material
intellectualism
world.
comes into place.
and
No, there's a lot
and
of other
and
things,
that's
class
where
consciousness,
that's
etc.,
where the
etc. Yeah, yeah.
entire left uh, learning about
Bent. Hmm.
yeah, learning about
Yeah, yeah.
that, learning about the sufferings and all that comes into play. And again, it's a very, even if you rob the film away of its brilliant reading on society, on patriarchy, and of these constructs that we have in place, even on a very simpler level, this is a fairly conventional coming of age story in
Hmm.
which you realize that by the end, titular the female that you have been following throughout her wrestling with existence in itself, she realizes that I have to set up my own society, I have to set up and reclaim some of it. When she sees that things have still remained the same, when she comes back and sees that the Margaret Colley character has been d- given the same treatment, the
Oh,
same
with
sort of,
birth, right? Because it's the idea that
yeah,
we can't give
it's
her that much
very
intelligence, otherwise she'll have almost like she'll develop a
right.
sort of
free will.
consciousness
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that. Also, you think that it's sort of a utopian society where she will.
Of course,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. I mean, the
And the
film treats
Okay.
it like
utopia,
that
So
also, right?
there
the
was.
utopia
So.
breaks in where that amazing. Oh God, I'll never use this word again.
Bolo, bolo.
Go
When
on.
she goes down that pit or whatever, and when she sees the suffering, that's the uh,
Oh, the
basically that phase where,
Alexandria, I think, right?
yeah,
Where is it?
Alexandria
Yeah,
sequence where
yeah.
that girl takes him, the guy, I don't know,
The guy takes
that,
him to the.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he takes him there
And
to
when
experience
even
what
when
it's like to
she's
be
even
poor.
when
Yeah,
she's reading, sitting by the deck, and she wants
yeah,
to learn about, what literature is capable of, and she wants to
yeah,
learn different ways of living. She is not given that authority, and she has to find her
yeah, yeah.
own agency to do that. And that's when she realizes that I'm glad that the sexual awakening came where it did, but now I have to
Hmm.
look beyond that. I have to find my own agency once I'm past it. Otherwise, I'll always be
Yeah,
reduced to
because I
this.
think all the bodiness and the sex, I think it decreases very much so after they go to Paris. I mean, of
Definitely,
course, there's
yeah,
the brothel part of it, of course, but after that, I think there is almost zero amount,
yeah,
because then it becomes a lot more about class consciousness with the husband. Very impressively moronic Christopher Abbott.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that scene reminded me of a very Lanthimos sort of, like that
Yeah.
really cruel, like it was like almost like putting her through as much torture as he can, and then she
Yeah.
just
And
like
everyone around
throws
him.
the drink at his face, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and
Turns it
then the
into a
sort of
dog.
tension thing. Yeah,
this
I
is
was
this
like,
is
so
what I,
Or goat, sorry.
the weird thing was, whilst she's doing the surgery, he throws in a random shot of the goat. I was like, he's doing his thing where animals just come into some weird face, right? And then I was
Yeah.
like, and then I saw him
It
pee the
became
goat, and I
literal,
was like,
yeah. No, this is okay.
nice.
So, okay. There was a reading that my wife gave me while she was going
Hmm.
going out to do her work. So there's another. I mean, so she has also read Mary Shelley's
Hmm.
Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus,
Hmm.
and the reading that all Gothic literature has, at least to that point, was that there is no agency that monsters have. And that's the first novel that gave agency to the, or feelings to the monster, where she wrote it in a way there is a feminine view of, or at least I would say quote unquote feminine view. This is something that comes from like what 19th, 20th century. Now we're in the 21st century.
Yeah.
For us, the view of feminine views is supposed to be emotional, masculine is supposed to be unemotional, more
Yes.
logical, everything like that. So and more brutalist. And this is more expressionist, and all the expressionism that comes from having a monster who is being created but not able to
Mm.
feel is
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
something that questions humanity and what is
Mm.
really it is like to be human.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
Mary Shelley is someone who not just in the end of the book, of course, the monster eventually wants connection. He wants
Yep.
a
Mm.
female partner, right?
Yep.
And everyone is stopping the creation of a female monster,
Monster.
because then you would also have, what is it to be female?
Mm-hmm.
Why the next question is, can she give birth? And
Yep.
does she require a uterus? And
Yep.
again, this whole uterus thing is going to come back with Barbie, where
Yes.
the function of a woman is eventually turned into like, oh, you're going to now just like create babies, and that's the only way you can really have connection. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where Mary Shelley gives a big switcheroo to literature, is that she
Mm.
gives Frankenstein a partner, a female partner, but without a uterus, then
Mm.
Mm.
completely absolves the whole of female existence from
Mm.
having to always have a uterus or having to
Mm-hmm.
always be the creator, right?
Mm.
Yep. Yep.
And that, like, the progenitor title, or like that function, is taken
Mm-hmm.
away, and that's what
Yep.
Mm.
causes that to evolve. And
Yep.
that's why Frankenstein is something that really is a evolution to what kind of views that time had, like that
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
whole the whole point of Gothic literature has always been to, like, it is how sci-fi is, like, where you
Yep.
best sci-fi is where you question what is going on right now and what it means to be a
Yep.
human and what society is, by
Mm-hmm.
using large concepts, right? And Gothic
Mm.
literature is somewhat, on an internal sense. It's not outward,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it's inward,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
where you take the scariest part, the worst parts of human beings, or like the worst crimes that they
Darkest
do,
part.
or darkest parts,
Yep.
the monsters, all that you take, and then question what it means to be human and what society is.
Yeah, very much the Guillermo del Toro
Exactly.
formula
Yeah.
Mm.
almost in
This is,
many
I
ways.
don't.
Yeah.
I actually compare more of this to Guillermo del Toro a lot. Like, this is a very
Mm.
much
Mm.
in the ilk of that kind of storytelling.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's true. I mean, again, the what you're saying about Frankenstein, because it is like the design also is slightly sort of 30s and Hollywood 30s, German expressionism 20s.
yeah,
So,
and
Mm.
also, I mean, all the visual aspects of it is something just that's
yeah, I was about to ask you
unique.
guys. So I enjoy my fair share of anachronistic,
Mm.
placing the camera wherever you want to, putting whatever lens.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was like, it was fun, and I was like, but I think
Zoom
there were a couple
lens.
of there are no, but there are also a couple of like looking through the keyhole. I think is one thing which occurs again and again, and
Motif,
I actually like the function of that being sometimes like just weird, which okay,
Mm.
Lanthimos is weird, but it also like just pushes them in together in a way where it sort of confines them even
right?
more than they are, right?
Yeah,
So I think
there's a
that's,
psychological outcome to it, right? Because you
I
feel
mean,
like you're
that's the, yeah,
watching
yeah,
it, you're really watching it,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like, and it happens in emotional moments too. Like, it happens always in moments where there's conflict, like,
Yep.
especially when you had, of course, there's also the sex and stuff, but that was like
Dance
kind of
sequence.
Saying it like that's the bad part of the film.
yeah, no, it's a thematic thing. Like, so what it
Yeah.
makes, like, whatever I felt about two lenses, one is the fisheye lens
Hmm.
and one is the split diopter lens, is
Mm-hmm.
that they are always in a very subjective they're in objective manner,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
instead of I mean, most lenses usually are more subjective.
They take a
And
point of view in some
yeah, and
sort
you
of,
have like a
yes.
tripod, or you have like a handheld thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But these kind of make it objective, where it kind of makes like, okay, so this is the scene, and this part of the story is right now microcosmed
Into
in this
this.
frame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's it continues to do that in every single part of that whole movie. Like, Even
Yeah.
in The Favorite, actually, where you have the
Favorite has
first,
some of it, I remember. I think this is
it
the
has the
first
But
time
power
I
where
felt
dynamic,
it
right?
almost
was
like he discovered fisheye lens. I was like, oh wow, let's experiment. I was like,
Yeah.
sure, do it.
Well, this
Yeah.
but I
happened with
don't know.
Kubrick also, right? Yeah, like
I've
where he evolved. Yeah, sorry, go on.
no, no, go on, go on, go on.
Like Kubrick also eventually went
Mhm.
from subjective to more objective kind of framing,
Let's.
because
That is the whole criticism, no, towards him about the
no, but he went back, right? When he went
boldness.
back on Eyes Wide Shut, then
I will
you
need to rewatch Eyes Wide Shut, but yes,
okay,
I
yeah,
have very weird feelings about that film. But okay, yeah.
yeah.
No,
Well,
but I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Yeah.
and yeah,
Uh,
and this is somewhat Yorgos. I mean, his in his vocabulary of like filmmaking,
mhm.
this is something that really plays well with his editing style, because he likes to go from he has a lot of momentum in his movies, like that's why he's a great watchable director. I
Director.
think best directors have really good momentum in their rhythm in their movies, and they don't have a boring moment. Like there is no wasted
Yeah,
moment
I don't
in
think
their
in this
movies.
one I was ever like, I
Yeah.
was like, this is maybe his longest film, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Because
It
favorite is two
Yeah.
feels
hours,
long.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't feel that
I mean,
No.
I
long
didn't
myself.
mind I did not mind going
You
on
said
this
it
story.
sagged somewhere in the second part. Where did you find
Second,
it?
and it's very, very
In the
You
laggy.
mean
ship,
the
I
or
don't
was
think
it
so. The
the
ship
ship? Or
portions.
okay?
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. I found that
I
quite
agree a
funny
little
though.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
consistently engaging and entertaining, of
hmm,
course,
hmm.
but
But
it's
you
just
prefer the sort of
this movie could
start and
have
sort of
been,
the later.
yeah,
Yeah.
this
Ah,
movie
but
could
this is his
have
longest
easily
film,
been
so
10 12 minutes shorter. And even it, I thought that it had, again, it's because I have only watched it for only once. This might
hmm.
uh, improve upon a rewatch, but I
Hmm.
felt the movie also had like multiple endings,
Mhm.
not knowing
Yeah,
where to end
interesting.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I
again,
can get what you. But where do you think it would have first ended?
so many
The zoom
points
out
because
scene
there's
where where she's in bed with
no, not
Willem
that
Dafoe.
scene. That portion as well, and even by the end, after she has that confrontation uh, at that man's house, even after that,
Okay.
the last scene seemed like, I get it's trying to make its point that, oh, it's finally
Mm.
reclaimed and
Mm-hmm.
pushing back against
Yeah,
the status quo
you
finally
like the
collapsed.
woman being in peril.
Hello, Bobby.
Yeah,
Totally.
but again,
I'm against
I
this.
don't get I even don't get
uh,
a go on.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh, sorry, you were saying?
No, I'm reading his comment.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, yeah.
No, so before we will we can talk about the performances and then move on to Barbie because we've spent a considerable amount of time on Poor Things.
Yeah.
Barbie में आप लोग गालियाँ दोगे मैं defend करूँगा I guess थोड़ा बहुत
No, I
but
mean, yeah.
ठीक है.
मतलब, it's fine.
Right.
Wait, what is
Anyways,
what? I want to get into this. I didn't know that there is some like bad comments against Barbie. Like,
no, they're not bad. I mean, I
Not
think
bad
people are a
comments, but
little. I think it's
meh.
like we'll see in the comments. Amartya will come with his
oh yeah.
pitchfork. But
Okay,
okay,
cool.
fine. See, आ गया पहले ही आ
Let's
गया
see.
before I said before we started about.
Passive
Anyways,
aggressive comments.
performances, guys.
But I actually didn't talk enough about Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo usually
Oh my
is a
God,
very mid
he's.
actor for me. Like
Oh
for me,
really? Okay.
yeah, I don't. I
Hmm.
mean, honestly, I like my wife and I had like a whole conversation about how Mark Ruffalo is like somewhat always in like a position where he's there to maybe just support the actors. He's not a great
Mm.
like lead. He'll never be a
Lead.
great lead.
Trying to
Yeah.
think where all has he led? I mean, I really like him in
This
Dark
much I
Waters,
know.
but that's a very
That was
okay. I've not seen this much
that's
of
also
it, but
it
Dark.
was an ensemble kind of, yeah.
Hmm.
This much I know is true. Is something that he had led
Hmm.
on with like
Hmm.
dual roles
The
and stuff.
show, right? The
Yeah,
Yeah. The double role
that,
he played,
yeah,
the
it's a
really
very good
Nature
show.
of the
the
Pines
very
director.
miserable feeling wala, which he does
Yeah,
miserable a lot, right? Derek
yeah, he does.
Cianfrance, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's his this trope. Like,
that's his thing. Yes, yeah.
yeah, and
Emotional suffering. Yeah.
emotional suffering,
But I think even
and
the casting over here is great because he's the sort of character who's constantly trying to prove and reinstate his
yeah,
agency, and yet his voice is always he has that high-pitched shrill voice. I don't know.
Yeah,
That
it's
always,
there's a
always
German
put me
word for
back.
him. It's called Backpfeifen Eingesicht. It's a slappable face. That's the word for a slappable face, and he really plays that really well.
He
Yeah,
plays.
exactly.
I mean, I was every time he was, especially in Paris, where he's just like almost like in the freezing weather, and she's talking to him like about all the intellectual stuff. He's
Yeah,
just like, "Shut the fuck off!"
yeah,
And I'm like, you can like just see how tired he is of this sort of stick. And even I think there's a lots of times on the ship where he's just trying to avoid the he's doing the politeness almost
yeah.
of that thing
No,
where
I guess
he's trying to
there was a
save
commentary
face.
on politeness and how fake it is, and how that society, even though it seems, and
Yep.
it's like you're trying to
Role
skip the
reversal,
part
no,
of,
almost.
yeah, it's going you kind of skip the part of actually learning about anything and actually just that directly sounding intellectual, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
that society really sells, and this is the
Hmm.
outcome, the kind of man that you get from that, and
Yeah, he's. I mean, again, it's
I
he
agree, he's
was.
The word,
sleazy,
yeah.
yeah,
He,
very
Yeah.
sleazy,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, he's, and I think who's the other guy? No, I mean, I think he's the main person who tags along for the longest time. I think,
Yeah.
and then the
I
Christopher
like the
Abbott guy.
supporting cast that she gets. She gets her own posse, where
Yep,
on the ship,
I've
right?
not noted her. Oh, yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, the guy and the Martha. I think that's
yeah.
the girl's name who
Martha, the
basically hits
older lady.
Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, who
yeah,
hits Mark Ruffalo in the chin, and then he tries to act like nothing happened, and he wanted to
yeah,
go to the casino just to
yeah.
play, play
Oh,
something.
and
Yeah.
my biggest, like, the standout character in the whole movie was Catherine Hunter. I
Okay.
really love her.
Mm-hmm.
The brothel's Reverend Mother. So
Mm-hmm.
she had like a lot of like
The
really nice.
biting fetish.
Yeah, the Vedic fetish is amazing, and that's there in the book, but
Is it okay?
she's
Mm.
not really that fleshed out in the book. She's just like a
Sure.
throwaway character.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, like, but I love that she is such a presence in the movie, and she actually
Mm.
is recognizing not Barbie. What am I saying? Bella.
You're mixing
She's
movies.
recognizing Bella for what she's trying to do, and
Yeah.
also supporting her.
But
And
also exploiting her. I think all three, again,
exactly,
it's sort
yeah.
of doing all the
Almost
things, which is, I think, the
everyone,
interesting.
everyone in the
Hmm.
movie is exploiting Bella. That's
Yeah.
like the that's the thing
Yeah.
about Gothic literature. Also, again,
Yep.
is that you are using women as the product that you can use. Like same
Mm-hmm.
goes with like you are using feminism and how the rise of feminism to sell a product like a movie,
Of course.
and like and also
We
like a
haven't yet
producers
we
a
haven't
bunch of
yet
imagine we are
gone to
producers.
other.
Yeah, imagine we are producers in like Universal Studios. We like, oh, I want a fun
Oh,
movie.
Warner
I want like the
Brothers.
super bad of
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and right now
Yeah,
it's really selling. 50% of the population is women, so we can sell more to women by making a movie about it and make a bunch of money, right? Like, and then we can have a
yeah.
bunch of people talk about it, like that it's important, and then we can
So
make even
men
more
talk
money.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bunch of men talk
Uh,
about it. So see, this is a product, and that's how like that's the again the antithesis to not just the monster. Here, the monster is not a monster; it's woman. Like
women. Yeah.
to them,
Mm.
the woman is the monster, and that's how you are giving agency to the monster
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
educating it, by giving it freedom, by not
Yeah.
judging its actions. And
Yeah.
even in the end, right, like when we were talking earlier about revenge, or like just like her vengefulness versus Godwin's vengefulness, not
Mm.
vengefulness, it was like forgiving, where you're
Forgiving.
not
Yeah.
forgiving, you go to revenge. And
Mm-hmm.
here it's not vengeance, it's more of control. It's like now I
Mm.
have enough control on my skills as a doctor and my
Yep.
education, and also
Oh,
the
sorry, you remind
justice.
me the skills of the doctor, and I was just like, the scene that automatically flashed in my head was the squish, squish, squish,
Yes.
squish. I was
Oh,
like,
yes.
that's
Oh my
hilarious.
god. Oh, I love it. Cut to the it cut to the it was a very
The squish.
satisfying cut. Right? It was like the squish cut just where it ended.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so
I
good.
mean,
I loved
I
it.
guess we can do last word on Emma Stone. Best way to, I suppose, depart. Because, I mean, I was just like, it's very hard for me to think about any performer who got this sort of, thing to delve into. So, like,
Yeah, right. It's a very like
who can
meaty
compete
role.
with this just in terms of the material she got? And then I think
Yeah,
she is fantastic. The way
she's
she's
amazing.
doing the voice modulation, sometimes
Yeah,
it's got like that really, I mean, the broken up words. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think in the
yeah.
beginning she's like a puppet almost like a puppeteer, like
Hmm.
puppeteered, but then she's also slightly gaining her freedom, so she's
Yeah,
moving more
so
freely, and
she's
then
supposed to be like, so mentally she's supposed to be 5 in the
fine. Hmm.
beginning.
Hmm.
And so sorry, in the beginning it's she's 3, then she goes
Hmm.
to 5 in a week, and
Hmm.
then she goes to
At 6.
15 in that black and white scene when she starts discovering herself,
Hmm.
and then she goes to 20 by the time she's done at she's 21 actually when
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
sees the suffering. So she becomes an
Ah,
adult while watching the suffering, so it's
exactly,
almost
exactly.
literal.
Sure.
And
Hmm. Hmm.
then
Hmm.
she goes to like she grows into herself how she was before. So that's
Hmm.
when
Sure.
that's we go back to when she had committed suicide. It's a circle, like she reaches her age as
In
the
the book,
movie
she
ends.
commits suicide.
In the book also she commits suicide, yes, yeah.
Hmm.
She
Okay.
jumps off the
Okay.
bridge
Oh
with the
yeah, as in like the
stone.
okay, like the old woman,
The
like the like not
Victoria, yeah,
Victoria,
Victoria, yeah.
Victoria, not Bella.
Not
Sorry.
Bella,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
I was
So
about to ask if Bella commits suicide
no,
in
no,
the
no, no,
book,
no. So
but I've
it's
heard that the book is much more cynical about its ending,
it is, yeah.
rather
It's
than being this.
it's not hope. It is hopeful, yeah.
Yeah,
If the
but it
book is
has
hopeful.
it's much less utopian in its sort of setup. Like
Yeah,
this is
I don't think it's a utopia at all. I think it's like this is
okay.
somewhat of like this is an acceptance of
Moment.
reality, and then
Sure.
having their own view, or at least approach to the society in their
Hmm.
Sure.
own way, because they have a house, they have like a good standing in society. Her father is
Hmm.
Godwin. His father was one of the greatest surgeons alive. Like he came up
Hmm.
with IVs, like
Hmm.
intravenous
Hmm.
insertion.
Hmm.
And the other thing that they have is education. Like they have
Yep.
all this literature that they've
Literature. Hmm.
collected, and now it can inform their own actions
And
in the future.
socialism, because I suppose
Yeah.
the idea of her being there, like the
Yeah. Well,
person at
this is
the in
this is
Paris.
a periodic. I mean, this is a period thing. Like this is
Hmm.
and not an anachronism. This is
Hmm.
a part of Gothic literature. Is that a lot of Gothic literature has been pushed to have like even what's that lady who put her head inside of a oven?
The visit me.
No, no, the actual writer. She put her hair. Not there was another one who's the famous one who got like a series on Hulu where
Varun, we
Varun
need
should be
you.
somewhere.
Varun
Let's
We
all
are
should
say
be
done, but
Varun
poor
thrice.
things.
Let's say
Okay,
we'll say
Chris
Varun
Patrick,
thrice. Sylvia Plath, thank you so much. Yes,
Sylvia Plath.
Sylvia Plath
Yes.
also spoke. Thank you, Chris Patrick, so much,
Yeah.
and for saving me. I was like, there's someone famous I'm supposed to remember. Yeah, but she wrote about socialism a lot too, and
Hmm.
Okay.
Dickens. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Hmm.
so he also wrote about socialism a lot, but it was rejected, and a lot of the female authors of the time had reacted in a positive way to
Positive.
socialism,
Hmm.
and it has been written more about in that
Sure.
time. Even
Yeah.
Shelley,
I mean
Mary
the
Shelley also wrote about
Yeah, I mean,
socialism.
I felt the class consciousness in Poor Things was slightly under, not written, but just sort of, it felt like the back burner, like, like
Oh
we
yeah.
have the sexuality angle, but let's just throw another spanner in the
Hmm.
works and get the politically active angle also.
No, I
Anyways,
thought it was
it,
crucial in her understanding that no
like
matter,
her development, yes, I just
I
thought
think,
just this whole idea of the
hmm,
movement and everything and just like all the background stuff
okay,
was,
on a
which is
narrative
I
level.
understand it's the construct, like in the narrative if you do that you have add like 30-40 more minutes or like 20 minutes more of
Hmm,
runtime in any case, and I think I wouldn't want that.
hmm.
But I will press you guys to move on to the highest grossing film of last year. I'm Is that the way to identify it? I don't know, but I'm going to identify it as that. And also a pretty good film, which is directed by Greta Gerwig. I don't think we've ever talked about Barbie on Quid, even on a podcast, surprisingly enough. Uh,
We have criticized this movie enough. I feel like at least behind the scenes, I know Sanjeet and I have I have spoken
oh,
about
yeah,
that
Sanjeet
movie.
hasn't liked it, right? At
He
all?
did like it.
So, yeah.
I the first watch, he and I had like this I don't know, visceral reaction to this movie.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Well,
both of you really didn't like it.
No. I loved it, and he hated
Acha,
it.
you
Oh, okay.
loved it and he didn't like it at
Yeah, I
all.
was
Okay.
like, this is like important. This is like important movie. Like this will be written about like years from now. Like
It
that
will
kind
be
of.
written about, but I don't
Yeah.
know if it'll be written about positively or
No,
negatively.
no, actually, in a very positive way. Well, I want to
Hmm.
also talk about the metatextual aspect of it, about like how this is about voting, and this is the voting year for a lot
Yes,
of
yes.
countries, and it has come out at
Hmm.
the perfect time to actually to energize a huge voter base, but that has been asleep for
Hmm.
all this while. And
Yeah.
anyone who's 21 and above knows that like you have to vote, and there is
Yeah.
no option, and. There is something that I really loved about, yeah, I totally agree with Chris Patrick, is that like this is an intro to feminist philosophy in a great way, and it is this is more productive for feminist philosophy to other genders, like to men as well,
I
because
do
this
think
is
actually. So I mean, I don't know if we. I need to introduce it much because, like, I'm assuming it's also another coming out. I was about to say coming of age
movie.
story
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
about. Like, so again, that's the sort of link also between Poor Things and Barbie in a sense. Like the both of them are people going from one world to another in a sense.
Yeah. What
Like
makes you
they're.
think Oppenheimer is not a coming of age story, huh?
It's not coming of
It's
age.
he is coming of
It's
age in
coming
his
of time
age.
or whatever it is. Anyways, Aryan here is the big Oppie head.
Oppie
Oppie
head,
head, yeah,
Oppen
yeah.
homie.
Open, open Obi. Anyways, Barbie. So for whoever's not aware, I suppose made what 1.2 billion bucks or 1.3 more, something like that. And no, but what you were saying about the intro to feminism part, I actually, and you said about how it's more effective for other genders to watch it. I actually think the best thing about the film is the way it critiques patriarchy. Like I was reading a bit about how the hashtag white feminism thing becomes a bit of an issue, and that the intersectionality bit is a bit of a problem, that there is none as such in the film, and that the film doesn't have the scope to actually show all that, which I think is a fair enough argument. But I actually think the way it like picks apart patriarchy was very very effectively done, smartly done. And I again the other, even if it is the same line I might repeat for what Poor Things was, even if it is shallow, I enjoyed it quite a bit from a design level, very much so. I thought
Yeah.
I loved the artificiality of it. I loved Varun, you can come back, by the way. We are talking about Barbie. um no so Okay, yeah. So Chris Patrick is saying, I think the film had a gender abolish. I can't read.
About
Abolitionist slash
Abolitionist. Yes.
post-genderist. Yeah.
Sure. So I think again, there's a lot of. I think it's a fairly loaded text in many ways. Like in a way which again, what Hemant was saying, like you can talk about it in multiple ways, and it will be talked about in multiple ways in terms of, I mean, for me the lens I was going in it with was a sort of auteur versus product, almost like product mentality and auteurism. And in the sense, for me, if that is the battle that's being fought here, for me the auteur wins, because I didn't
Yes.
come out of it thinking at all to buy the next Barbie doll. I was
Yeah.
like, or
Yeah.
whatever, like I wasn't thinking ki it's like it has that element to it also, like
Yeah.
it can't like take it apart because it's freaking producing the whole thing. But
Yeah.
within that construct, it's poking so many holes in it that I was like, I'm surprised they managed to sneak in so much into a film which is essentially about a product, right? Like,
Right.
so I think that was my
Well,
sort of
okay.
But
So
angle
more
on
than
it. But
anything,
yes.
I don't
Hmm.
think that entire tussle between product versus auteurism, it
Hmm.
rather than benefiting the movie, I think it's helped the discourse because it raised Barbie as a movie, as a phenomenon, has
Hmm.
raised so many questions regarding the rigidity with which uh, we view our moral compass regarding our consumption of entertainment in general.
Hmm.
Because even as a
As in,
viewer,
you
you are
think
constantly.
it's a very moral film, like it's in terms of how it's
No,
like
I
everything
don't
it's
think
saying, or
it
no?
is. I think it's trying to be that, but
Hmm.
the metal brand looms so heavily over it that it consistently punctures uh,
But yeah,
the
I
SNL
understand.
like sting of portions of the movie
Yeah.
to make one realize that, oh, this will always carry this sinister undercurrent
I
beneath
mean,
it,
it's
that
but don't you think that's the undercurrent any film like this will like? But I think that's the difference. I feel like I've discussed this with a couple of people who think that it's all in service essentially uh, for capital, right? Like because essentially it earning 1.2 billion bucks, becoming popular will mean doubling the sales of Barbie dolls and everything like all that. I'm like,
again, I that's what I think, that rather than I'm done talking about the movie as on its craftsmanship
hmm,
level, because
hmm,
I don't mind the movie, right? It's even according to me, it's a fairly well made movie.
hmm,
But I'm more interested. I have been more interested ever since its release in the way it's raised these ethical questions regarding how we consume entertainment in general, right? And
sure.
I think that has only pushed the discourse around the film even more. And it's just
Hmm,
it's interesting to have films that make us question the way we perceive, the way we consume entertainment in general. I just think on that level the film succeeds. I
sure.
wish it had succeeded on a narrative level for me
For you, okay.
as a film,
Hmm,
as a film.
sure.
Wait, one
So,
second. Okay,
but
wait.
what?
I want to dig
Hmm.
deeper into this.
Yeah.
What is wrong with the narrative?
Because it basically
I didn't know
flattens
that
it
there'll be.
out into
I
a
didn't know that there will be. Sorry, I didn't know there will be a bigger Barbie defender. So yes,
no,
please.
but it just basically flattens out the narrative into a string of SNL like portions. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As in
And
the
I
the Mattel brand
no no
flattens
no
it.
no
You
no
think?
no no no
Then
the
what?
the
Just the
flat
writing, the
So
okay,
the
you're talking
writing the
completely on the
writing.
screenwriting part of
Let's
it.
just say America Ferrera. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that's
Yeah.
the problem. Okay,
that's the problem.
interesting.
I don't think I
So
wouldn't have.
you really liked. I'm guessing you really liked the Ryan Gosling character and his arc.
And I loved how they are brought into the quote unquote real world and how
World.
that facade breaks. And again, that scene at the bench park when she's
Oh yeah, the
realizing
bench
that,
park is a
oh,
lovely scene. I've cried about
exactly.
two times while watching
And
it.
Man,
So yeah.
what a scene.
I
Yeah.
think the movie peaks
Oh,
there.
too
Then
early. Sure.
whatever we
Hmm.
see with that character sitting in the CEO chair, and it's
Oh, you
very
didn't. This is the first time I've liked Will Ferrell. I think. I
What
laughed
step?
my.
Like Step
I've
Brothers?
not seen. I've not seen Step
Oh
Brothers.
my
So
God,
I mean,
no.
first time I was like consistently laughing at all his jokes. So I was like
Yeah.
surprised by. Anyways, it's not a Will Ferrell discussion. It's a Barbie
So, but
discussion. But
but
yes,
you realize that
yeah.
Will Ferrell is an ally here, like yeah, okay, no, he's not an ally. Okay, he is basically okay. So they created a bunch of stand-ins for everyone actually.
yeah.
The stand-in, your straight man or straight woman here is Barbie.
Hmm.
Then they are not affected emotionally by anything until the middle of the movie.
Yep.
Your America Ferrera is the awakener, where she is the one who is the most woke out of everyone, and she is the one who
And
actually
loud of
and
But
well,
see,
not really.
so
Like,
the one
well,
thing I will,
she can
the
be
one
Daniel
thing
Day
I,
no,
Lewis
go
is
on,
loud.
sorry, sorry.
the one thing I will like always but against like with this film is the idea that the loudness is is the only aesthetic which I think can tell a story about the symbol of Barbie. Like if the symbol is so loudly representative of one type of female who's attractive, how else do you break it if your main audience is supposed to be the people who play with Barbie dolls? If you aren't loud, can you break it apart for whatever a general, like first I didn't mind the loudness, which is why I'm sort of defending it. In this case I didn't mind it because I felt they are constructs only, like the Barbie land is a construct and Barbie land are symbols, each in their own right. So how they talk and how they behave will have to be in that language of, I felt, constructs. But like I never felt that being an issue is my sort of defense for the loudness of the film, at least. Like I didn't mind it, and I generally do mind it, but yeah,
Well,
that's the
yeah, I
only,
think there's a
yeah.
lot of like these days, I guess, in the discourse, like general discourse, a lot of the movies is that like anger has been something that cannot be like really possessed by women, or anything that they do that's going to like Tispat also mentioned is, that they're considered to be quiet and not supposed to be loud, and they're supposed to be more diplomatic. And
Mm-hmm.
that whole diplomacy role that we give, that has been given to women, has something that's been questioned now. That's this thing that's in question now. It's like, why does it have to be that way? Like, why is it that, like, why is it that all that talk and all the marketing of something is supposed to be given to only women, rather,
Mm.
or it is something that's only been done by them, and that's something that turns into a trope, and they
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't want. But this is a way to fight that trope, is by questioning it enough that you eventually, it becomes a negative connotation. And something that I really liked about America Ferrera's monologue was supposed to be that this is like, in a way, this is a comment on monologuing also, like,
Mm.
where the only way we can convince people is by really breaking down the entire argument and actually telling them exactly how it is, and that's what people are seeking. And in a movie also, like, this is not a heady movie, this is supposed to be for the masses, right? So
Frothy,
you are yeah,
fun,
frothy,
silly.
fun,
Silly
yeah,
was my, like, I think
lazy,
silly was my sort of go-to with
yeah,
it, and silly in the sense of tone, which is
yeah,
what I
Yeah.
liked. It's not
yeah.
stupid. I think stupid is the derogatory version of that. I
Hmm.
think it's silly.
I love Varun's comment, America versus Arya.
I was about to mention him only. Yes.
This is because this is, I mean, this is digestible to people, right? This is, they're trying to make it as digestible as possible, and the only way you to do that is have one character who's awakened, who is already knows what's going on. And that was, I mean,
Huh.
initially it is Kate McKinnon who actually knows what's going on, what is wrong with the
She's
world. But
the
she's the Barbie
broken
equivalent of
Barbie, na?
America. Yeah, the weird Barbie. And
Yeah.
weird Barbie in the Barbie world is a woke.
She's in Wizard of Oz slash Holy Mountain
Yes,
cassette.
yeah, only one
Yes.
because no, that's the first thing I thought. Oh my god! And
Yeah.
even her, the whole, like, map that she had made and everything, that actually resembled the whole. Have you seen Jodorowsky's Dune, where they're talking about
I have not seen the documentary. No, no, I have not
document,
seen. No.
or they had
Hmm.
made a whole, like, this thing. I was watching. It was a total coincidence. I just
Hmm.
saw it, and I was looking at the map that she did. This looks very similar. This looks exactly
Okay, so
like
it's probably
Dune's
a nod, which is
Arakin. Yeah,
weird to
I
think
don't know.
about.
It
Yeah.
might be like
Yeah. Well,
that whole
I'm.
aesthetic is
What
very
Chris
80s
Patrick is
indie.
mentioning. I've forgotten this gag. When does this happen?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
guys remember?
This is
Uh,
when. Oh, this is to Emma. What's the sex education wali actor? This is to her, right? I would never wear this, and she, because you're a physicist. She, because the short dress. This happens when they're like, oh, would you beer me? Would you, like, that whole sequence where they're
The
trying to explain
mansplaining
how the,
sequence.
yeah, that whole
okay.
sequence is
I have forgotten. Sorry, my brain is
the
mush right
deprogramming
now.
section. Yeah, yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Okay.
and in
Okay.
that
Okay.
section is where they find out, like, this throwaway line actually is something.
Well, Amartya,
Yeah.
come on. Of course, it's weird. It's Jodorowsky.
Oh yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, it's something that I really like about the movie, is that they have a role for everyone to play, which can communicate to the audience what they're supposed to feel. It's not
Hmm.
very it's very straightforward and unambiguous, and they're trying to, it's a very calculated move, is because
Hmm.
they're, I mean, they're running a, like a bot for shop, right? Like, because Mattel is going to be overlooking everything on how Barbie is being, like, like, made into a symbol.
Isn't there that really? I mean, I laughed out towards the end where it's like someone suggests that we should look into this idea because it's in fashion and like
Yeah,
no,
Oh
one
yeah.
of the Barbie suggests Will Ferrell
When he
essentially that,
comes
yeah,
oh
to
yeah, let's
the
do ordinary Barbie, and he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's a
That's
terrible
we tried
idea.
that,
That's
yeah. We
America
tried that
Ferrera.
some
That's
That's
America
America
Ferrera
Ferrera.
only.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do ordinary, and he's like, it's terrible, and then the
guy says,
money
"You're
guy
making."
next to him
Yeah,
is like, it's big
that's where
money,
the capital
and then
interest
he's
comes
like,
in. So
yes,
what I really liked about,
I think that is this movie, by the way.
yeah,
Sorry.
that is. So I can
yikes,
compare this to
that's
a
very
little bit. If
harsh.
if
No,
you're
no,
gonna,
no.
like, this is
It's
a foreshadowing to the Dune conversation. Is like when you create a messiah, right?
hmm.
And you're forcing them to be the messiah. You
Hmm.
have to also understand that that messiah has to accept that role, and
Hmm.
Barbie does not accept the role until the middle of the movie. and
Mhm.
Mm.
the only person who makes her accept the role is that she tells him that this is a role. You have to be this symbol for
Yeah.
everyone out there, and that's and why is her whole speech is that women are
I
just
to liked his speech.
having to.
I teared
I
up a
really like
little
this
bit.
speech.
Sorry.
Okay, tear up. Come on, man.
एक आंसू यार.
So
एक
did the
आंसू.
jury, Oscar jury,
Yeah,
but
I'm
yeah.
gonna judge you like a man. No, like I really teared up on
I
the
love
whole
the
ending
montage here
Judge
speech.
of when
jury
he
like a
goes
man.
to when he has the 2001 awakening when he once Ryan Gosling goes to Earth and he has that horses ka
Yeah,
essentially
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
infatuation.
Oh my God, I
And
love that.
yeah, 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 that's
That
really
is
funny.
that's again the indoctrination that he goes through, right? Like where
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
it's just by image and like just by barrage of
Men rule the
80s.
world.
Basically,
Yeah,
this is like how like Trump was made, like
exactly. Yeah.
and
But
all that.
you know,
It is a lot of 80s imagery, like 80s
hmm.
capitalism. That this is the
हाँ
death
Reagan
of
का होगा
80s.
ना. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
this is
Hmm.
Reagan era,
Stock market
the death
booming
of
and
capitalism from that. This is like
yeah,
Wall Street,
Hmm.
Michael Douglas and Wall Street.
yeah.
Like
Hmm.
that speech is like a mirror of America Ferrera's speech now.
Hmm.
Like the
Hmm.
1980s, that would have slapped, but right now, 2023, this is something that really connects with
Well,
me.
it slapped a lot of people, some in the right way and some
From
in
the
the
left,
wrong way. Right
from
in
the
the left
backhand,
way.
from the front
But
hand.
there's so many. But
It's only hit metal in the right place.
oh God.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think
oh.
that's yeah.
I mean, this
Uh,
is. I mean, I like that. This is. I mean, I think now this whole like the conversation of like uh
I don't like the conversation
new.
about the Oscars, huh, by the way. Like, I'm
Oh,
not a fan of
really?
whatever happened with the whole. No, as
Stuff
in
Best
like
Director.
the being upset over a nominee. I was just like, I,
I think she deserved it, but yeah, I
no, I
mean,
mean,
it was a
I
misplaced
think so
decision.
too.
Yeah,
I love Margot Robbie in this, but I
Are you
don't
talking
think
about
there's a
the director?
need
No, or
need for
director.
it to be like
oh,
a.
okay.
No, no,
He's talking
I
about
would
the
have had. Oh, okay, I'm talking about Robbie. I
Oh,
thought her
really?
performance was lovely. Yeah.
Okay,
So yeah.
but not best actress. Like compare her
Out
with
of
like
all the people
Lily
who were
Gladstone.
Lily,
Like,
okay, we are not going into that zone
but,
again. That's not a best
let's go kill us
that's
all.
not a best actress. That's not a best actress role. That's a
It's
best
the
supporting
best
actress
supporting
role. But
actress
okay,
role, right? Yeah.
yes, but she is phenomenal. I'm not denying that. But
Dude,
anyways, I
and
mean, I'm just
dude,
saying in
compare
terms
her
of
with like Sandra
imagine.
Haller, Carrie
Yeah.
Mulligan, the scene where she finds out about the whole disease and
I
shit.
would have her over Carrie
Annette
Mulligan.
Carey
Bening,
Mulligan. Yeah.
Uh,
Annette Bening in the whole scene where she's
I've not
talking about.
seen yet.
Oh, you've not seen that? Oh,
Yeah.
great. I mean, I like the sports movies. I'm a sucker for sports movies.
I've
But
not
anyway,
seen it, but I mean, those are the
very.
annual. Let's put people's lives at risk wala crowd, na in the Netflix ka they make.
Yeah.
You
I
know
forgot the
what
guy,
I've
the two
always
directors. Yeah, huh? Say.
throughout last year, what I've uh, imagined the ideal pair up to this movie, Bottoms. I think
Yes.
Ah,
that
you really like
movie,
Bottoms, right? I've not seen
Loved it.
that
Bottoms.
movie, I think that is the kind of
Sir, वो इतना
satirical
अच्छा कैसे
feminism,
करेगी?
Okay.
but that is the sort of satirical feminism that really
वो
gets
रॉन्ची
the message
कॉमेडी
across.
आप क्या बच्चों को
Oh,
दिखाओगे?
no. But still,
You
yeah,
can't really. Yeah.
that's the
Like.
kind of satirical feminism that really puts this message forward with its
Sir,
thematic
but
glow.
Well,
no.
it
But
can't
you
be
are
read by
undermining how much
everyone, right?
pressure this has. Then no.
This okay, so it can't be read by everyone the same way. So if I show Barbie to an older person versus to a younger person, to
Hmm.
my role, everything, it's going to be completely seen in a different
Yep.
way. Like
Hmm.
and Bottoms is something that everyone can look at. In fact, Bottoms has comments about all the feminist philosophy history also. But oh, this is like the
Exactly.
second wave of feminism. You guys are just like that.
Exactly.
She
Over that
even comments on that,
board.
right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, and like that this
So
is some
good.
like, I can give you like a
Yeah, but that's like a
perspective.
$10 million movie. This is like $100 million, $200
Yeah.
million movie.
So okay,
Like
if I give you
you can't.
chaotic neutral, the chaotic neutral is, or I guess chaotic evil is Gone Girl.
Hmm.
Then chaotic neutral would be Bottoms. Then you
Hmm.
have the positive one, or I don't know what the other one is. Like the green in the scale is Barbie. So green, yellow, and red is what we are going for. And
Sure.
everywhere in Bittle is all the other movies. Like
You are
poor
thinking
things would
about
be,
No,
yeah,
no.
poor
I'm
things would
saying
be between
Aryan.
Bottoms and
Hmm.
Gone Girl, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
Sure. No, but Aryan,
Spectrum.
you're thinking. So I think my bigger surprise was that I wasn't thinking about. Again, I mentioned Jodorowsky's Dune, not Dune.
Hmm.
Sorry, Holy Mountain, for
Holy
Christ's
Mountain,
sake.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
but the other movie I was thinking about Under the Skin. I did not
Oh
expect to go to see
yeah,
Barbie and be thinking
dude,
about Under the Skin. I'm like,
yeah,
I really just didn't expect to be thinking about the whole existential question that she will have about life and
yeah.
whatever. And I've heard a lot of people say that they were much more into the Ken story as opposed to the Barbie story. I was pretty much on board with whatever was going on with her
Hmm.
part of the
I
story
think it's
also.
because Ryan Gosling is more likable. That's it. That's about it.
No, I
More
think he has
likable.
the
They're giving him a
no, but
pretty
he
license.
has
Like,
the he has the more quirkier character also, right? Like quirky
yeah,
in the sense that he's getting to do a
I
lot of pantomimes. He's doing it
yeah,
very well, but like
he's
Caricature-ish, yeah.
yeah,
caricature, yeah, and
yeah,
she has to basically go from caricature to human. So humans are,
exactly.
Yeah.
suppose, anyways more boring than a
Yeah.
caricature. So like in movies.
Are we actually are we
Sir,
realizing
Ken
the
के पास
speech
करिश्मा
that
और मार्गो
America
रॉबी के
gives?
पास नहीं है.
Exactly. That's why are we realizing America Ferrera's speech is that women have to try harder to impress us, but Ken just being Ken was enough for us? Haha.
Yeah, but why
Are
is
we
that?
all
But
hypocrites?
she has been given. No, she's a bit lost. I don't see why that's. Again, maybe it's the bench scene ka power where I'm just like, that
Yeah.
hit
Yeah,
me so much. And I
yeah,
think we can talk briefly about Greta Gerwig's direction. Like, I loved the way she switched in that particular moment to that,
yeah. Real,
handheld
very
and a
like
dream and
yeah.
dreamy, woozy kind of. And otherwise, because it's so like,
There's no
Hollywood
soundtrack. There
musical
is
sets,
just
no, also like that's the whole vibe of the Barbie Land thing I got, which is why I also responded. Like I remember watching Wonka recently and just responding
oh
to it
my
simply
god.
because you didn't like it.
Yeah, never.
I responded to it simply because it has like Hollywood musical beats to it. So maybe
Hmm.
it's that. Okay, fine, Varun. Thank you. You have truly returned with your nice
Yes.
little sarcasm.
What is cheap at
Uh,
this?
it's
I
not
think two people
slander,
get that
okay?
reference in
It's not
it.
slander.
You
Yeah,
though don't
anyone.
talk. You though don't like
Arnold,
Barbie because it's artificial. So
Yeah.
not taking
who?
you seriously.
Varun.
Varun.
No, does anyone like has anyone seen any Playtime? Has anyone seen Playtime? Jacques Tati,
I
the
have
grey one.
seen. I've not seen Playtime. I've seen. Arey yaar, Mon Uncle, whatever it is called. But Playtime ka sets I know is mental, like in terms of design, in terms of. But this is also inspired by Jacques Demy a lot, which La La Land
Yes,
copied.
yes,
You are
yeah,
welcome,
yeah.
Amartya, for that reference. He loves La La Land beyond
Yeah.
whatever.
Wait, what is Varun saying?
I have no idea. Varun, can you please clarify yourself?
Can you join?
Like, be as clear as America Ferrera is in her monologue.
Be as like take this, go write down whatever you have, go take it to a test audience. If they
Yeah.
if they react properly, then you take it.
No, but see, one of the things I did really like was just how, which is what gave me the idea of the whole title, was the whole plastic nature of patriarchy in this. Like the way it sort of is able to manifest itself in both the real world, of course, but also in the Barbie world, right? Because it's the idea that Ken learns and he can make people who've learned all about, feminism there. No, they haven't learned about it, but like the whole symbolic weight of that gets diluted in one day. Essentially, that's the whole
Yeah.
argument that he says. So I think like I liked all that quite a bit,
You
and
know,
again,
I'll
hmm,
only, this is the thing that I had been
hmm,
thinking about recently, and that's when I
hmm,
realized that this actually is a great point to compound my problem with the movie. That you guys are very deftly pointed out the reasons why this movie is loud, because it is functioning on a 200 million budget. It is
hmm, hmm.
mainstream. It is doing
No,
all
no,
that.
those
Okay,
aren't
that's it.
excuses for it. It's just the idea that, I mean, I think the loudness to me is not a
The tone
problem
of it.
because of, yeah.
But no, the reason why, now this is my reading of it. Okay,
Hmm.
there's a reason why this movie has not done not even half as good in the Eastern markets. Okay,
Hmm.
especially even in India. Okay, and of course there's all those reasons that, oh, guys, statistically speaking, guys tend to go to watch films more, especially in a country like India, than women do, right? But across Eastern markets,
Hmm.
the movie has not done great. Okay, it's
Hmm.
done. In fact, it's done fairly average numbers,
Hmm.
and that's the point that I have been feeling all this year along, all
Hmm.
through
बोलो
past
बोलो
year, that
revelation करो.
this movie does not transcend beyond its brand, because in our
सर
markets,
इतना
the
पैसा नहीं कमा
entire
सकता कोई
the
पिक्चर
entire
लाइक.
generation that there's the generation that the movie is targeting to, right? Especially the Western markets, they
Hmm.
have grown up with Barbie. They are the millennials of today, right? The reason that that demographic is missing in our markets, and the reason why the film has not done well, is it could be one of the things that could point out in the direction that the movie really does not transcend beyond its genesis level. That's what I
I
have
don't
felt.
know. Interesting. I mean, I तो didn't recommend it to my parents just knowing the fact that they won't like the humor. Because I feel the humor is a fairly acquired taste to me. Like, I mean, I was like, I can very much understand why people aren't clicking with the humor. Because in my cinema, I was the one who was laughing, and literally no one was in Dubai. And Dubai, mein, it took a month extra to come to because of the whole messaging it had and
Ah, okay.
everything and all that. So I think that
I
that
think it's also a
itself is.
generational thing. Like it's a very Gen Z kind of humor. It's like very post,
No,
like
it's a
very
blend of millennials and Gen Z, na?
yeah. I mean, I like everyone in at least in my theater was like it's all white. Mostly people were white only. Like,
Hmm.
and everyone
Hmm.
was like kind of like cracking up on like all the stuff that's like self-referential. Everything is
Ah.
self-referential. We've grown up on self-referential humor.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't have a
We've
serious,
The voice
sincere
over the
yeah,
phone calls
Marvel,
anymore.
like
Marvel
Marvel
ने तो
is
खर
like seriously ruined everyone's brains because of all
Yeah,
this. Like
yeah.
there can't be sincerity anymore. That's why people really react well to like stuff like Avatar or like or Dune. In
Wow, I'm
fact,
getting a
yeah,
lot of now. I certainly since Aryan has spoken, a lot of the Barbie brigade has
Not just our
anti-Barbie
relationship
brigade.
with
yeah,
feminism.
well,
No, not just our relationship with feminism, but our relationship with markets in general. And this, that's the point. This movie is pushing its brand, and in doing that is okay, right? Again, we can't, it can't not do that because it's produced by it's an IP. But again, it is not that good in its storytelling prowess that it would transcend those limitations, right?
Interesting.
That's
I
what
mean,
I
I
feel. Again,
disagree,
still, still
but
a good,
yes,
fairly made movie, but
fairly
still, I
made
would,
movie. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, 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 I'm kidding. See, you can I mean, my main thing actually with this film has weirdly enough been that I've heard so many people just criticize it on the basis of the subject. I'm like, just see it. If you like it, fine. Dislike it,
That
fine.
is
But
the stupid.
watch it.
And even, I mean, have you guys not? I just wonder, have these guys not seen the eventual confrontation that Barbie has with Ken in his house
नहीं
by the
देखा ना.
end?
The
It is
but the
about.
what? No, but the thing that's most popular about the film is probably the monologue, and now better for worse, a lot of people will latch on to that only, no?
Yeah,
So
and
you go
then
with that.
generalize. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean, the movie-going audience in India is mostly urban. So, like all the
Urban
at least
males.
English movies, I'm
Yeah.
saying, like no one is
Huh.
gonna watch. You're gonna only get movies like Jawan and Fighter and all
I
that
mean,
stuff, all
also
the
if you,
jingoistic stuff that's gonna get
I
seen
to
by
feel,
everyone.
I to feel a lot of people who don't quote unquote like I've see, I'm fairly cynical about all this, but I think a lot. It says, and I'm not talking about you. I'm saying it says a fair bit about some people who are quote unquote the flag bearing feminists in
So this
India,
thing.
but then
Right.
sort of and they can not like the feminism of it, but there's just this whole very disparaging tone taken towards it, and I'm just like
Mhm.
I just don't appreciate the disparaging tone. I'm
Yeah.
like देख के बुरी लगी तो ठीक है picture है
Yeah.
or like it's not like a what it is more than that, but
Once it becomes successful, it becomes more than the movie. What it
हाँ,
really is.
I mean Oppenheimer के साथ
Example
भी like
and
it's the
Annabelle. Example
oh
Annabelle,
god,
where like a movie which is mediocre gets a lot
oh
more
my god.
airtime because just of the fact that people are actually mad about it, and
Hmm.
that's
We
the same
have
thing. I
talked
mean, it's
about it so
mostly,
many times
and
just
this
in
is
like these
falling into the
conversations.
algorithm trap. Really, it's made to polarize people, so we shouldn't really talk about it that way. I feel like
Yeah.
the content of the movie itself can speak for itself, other than the conversation that's happening outside of it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I
I
mean, to
mean,
me, it's good enough on that level, which I think is Aryan's point, which I think is
yeah.
fair that he doesn't think it is, and I think that's a totally fair argument to make against the film.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, I think a lot of people were yes just
I
talking
love the
about
Varun is
Barbie.
now Varun is going to file an FIR against Hemant. I don't know who Hemant is, um,
Yeah, is he?
and
We should all fire
this was
a movie cinephilia FIR against Varun
FIR.
for not liking Exorcist and The Shining and
Does he have
what else,
anything
Oh,
Varun?
against
The
old
French
horror?
Connection
Oh wow, okay.
and yeah,
French
he's
Connection, I understand. It's kind of a mid movie. It's
that
just
is
an
very
iconic movie.
hurtful. But okay. नहीं नहीं बट हाँ वो उसको हॉरर के अगेंस्ट कुछ है डोंट लुक नाउ ही हेट्स आई एम लाइक ओके अबे क्या
Really?
बोलूं
Wow. Okay.
नहीं नहीं वो सीरियसली मत डोंट
Okay. Like
या
now I feel attacked. You first
uh,
say Nolan is bad. No, Nicholas Rogue is also bad. How like what
no
is
no
this?
he likes Nolan he loves Oppenheimer
Okay.
yeah he doesn't like Stanley Kubrick that much
Okay.
yeah
It's fucking boring, is it? Like,
should we end on this note
can you print that on a poster? My God, dude.
put it on the poster yeah. Don't look now it's fucking boring
Behind the Blu-ray.
Dude,
oh
so
come on
good.
Varun
I mean, I feel okay.
he will
So
grow. I don't
not
know,
like a
Swapnil.
horror
You're too
part of
optimistic about things. I feel he'll
well,
grow to
okay.
dislike more
For,
movies.
I think this is more of like a jump scare hate. Like I think this is all got to do with jump scare
The
hate.
jump
Like
scare.
yeah, I mean all anyone who is serious about movies and stuff, like they'll be like, oh, the people who are like who really like horror don't like jump scares, right? And I think he's part of that party.
Varun, you have been.
He is like
What to say?
I have 1,000 rows behind me. No growth possible in film enthusiasts. So, see,
I'm
this
kidding,
is
Varun. You know we are kidding, right? Like I don't want to, I mean, actually, I don't know why I'm feeling sorry for him. He does
yeah.
this
I
to
know.
me
Whatever.
all the time in
Who's
the
the part?
chat.
Like,
No,
you
screw
think you
you.
think you think I'm guilty? You think we'll be guilty? You think we care? Fight me, bro. Like,
Anyways, last final thoughts on Barbie, guys, so that we can put our Oscars thing to an end, I suppose.
oh, wow, this is it.
Um,
This is the end.
I mean, we might do
A
a
live stream
predictions
during the.
video, but like I've not, no, no, not during. I'll sleep during the ceremony, most
What
probably.
what is the time for the ceremony?
No,
Like,
no, I'll sleep as in like this happened last time. I like caught up with all the
Since
movies and then
past 2
slept.
years, not just last time.
Yeah.
oh,
Since
it's a
past 2
three
years.
hour like 3 hour thing, so I don't think we can really sit
अब
through all
तीन
of
आना
it.
पहले
Like,
तो 5 6 7
yeah, like we can
Oh
do like a
Christmas
God,
post.
की तरह.
You can do
he
pre
is.
and post, right? Like you can do like
Yeah,
predictions.
yeah, no,
I think
I mean
Barbie is
one
gonna.
only. Post
I think
maybe.
Barbie is gonna win Best Picture.
You think it's gonna
What?
split?
No,
Best
no, no.
picture them and
Best Picture
best
and
toy
director.
director Nolan
Yes, correct. Yeah, I don't think
might happen.
Oppenheimer is the
Maybe.
best film. Like
I mean, you didn't like it, no, that much.
no, I loved it. It's just
अच्छा,
that
you loved it, okay.
I
So मुझे ही
loved
नहीं
it.
अच्छी लगी उतनी.
I
Oppenheimer.
okay. So I loved it.
I liked it a lot.
I
Just didn't
loved the
love
second
it.
half of the movie. I hated the first half. I didn't like the first half. Like it was a
So you
very
Even I
loved it
liked
when एक बार bomb जब drop होता है.
yes, yeah. After that scene where the whiteout happens,
Yeah.
that whiteout scene
I
was
तो
when I
think
was like,
उसके
oh,
बाद
this is
next वाला scene I love, which is
okay.
the speech
Yes,
scene, whatever
yeah.
it is.
Also, the breakdown scene from Robert Downey Jr. That was like really nice. That was
Oh,
that
amazing.
cemented his thing of like best supporting actor. Yeah, the most folk who bore it. They did best film first, then best actor. What really? Which? Oh, this was
The
Oh, yes,
father.
yes.
yeah. The father.
2018.
This is really
2018.
उसके next year was the Will Smith punch, na?
yeah. Slap. Yeah.
Slap punch, whatever.
It's by punch.
And then he won the award also for what was that movie? I've forgotten.
Tennis.
हाँ, some tennis का thing, no?
Which one? Oh, the
King Richard.
King
King
Richard.
Richard. King Richard.
Yeah,
I'm
that was
surprised I
also
remember the name.
mid movie, mid acting.
हाँ, मतलब वो तो वही है ना, like your 2.5 3 star picture जो आती है generally.
I mean,
Warner Brothers तो
yeah,
लॉबिंग करके नॉर्म्स लेता है ना.
where everyone
ठीक है
does
सर.
with
Anyways, final
Sony.
thoughts on the Pink movie, I suppose.
The pink and the gray movie, the bluish gray movie.
Is it
I
bluish gray? Okay.
This
like.
pink also.
I mean, okay, if you want to talk about Rodrigo Prieto's cinematography,
Oh yeah.
I can talk all day on this. Like, that's why I
Hmm.
was like Killers of the Flower Moon and this. I was like, imagine, dude. Like,
Both
it's
he's
like
nominated for, no?
yeah, Roger Deakins
Oh
got
really?
nominated for like Assassination of Jesse James and
He
Don't
won
Cut Me
for
Slow
neither.
with this. Yeah, exactly. I feel like Rodrigo
Well,
might.
that year was
Yeah.
also There Will Be Blood. That
Thriller with
2007 year is something else, by the way,
Yeah,
huh?
that was
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
So yeah,
I saw
one
that
of
thing
my
live, dude. I
favorite.
saw it on Star World. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
and okay, anyway, but I think
Watching
that
anything on
Barbie,
Star World is pretty amazing.
yeah. Even I saw Coffee with Karan, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Like there is
Yeah. We have a fandom in the chat here. Amartya watches every episode.
oh damn, dude. I
Yeah.
I
Who's
am
to
actually
specifically hate
surprised. I
on
thought
it?
that Amartya will be more of like
He
a
hate watches it.
okay Kapil. I thought his comedy nights with Kapil is something that he would watch.
वो उसको वरुण के साथ मिल जाता है
Kapil
ना.
Sharma. And
नहीं नहीं last thoughts
okay,
on
so
Barbie
last
was.
thoughts was I love Barbie for the like as an event movie. It's a great movie,
Hmm.
and it is one of it. Really, I hope people try to do more of the production design, give more money to production design from now on. Is something I really crave in movies these days. Is that people are like, oh, you're like this close up and cut a bunch of times, and then give me one big like like
Oh, the dance numbers in this are fun, yeah. Like it's
really
like full on, like you get
love
a
it.
wide and like it's
Oh,
like like old school. It reminds me a
yeah.
little bit of that
The
whole thing.
singing in
So
the rain, like they had the what was a not Blue Umbrella. What was it? What is the movie that this is based on? Um, well,
which
there is
movie?
one very famous movie again that I'm
Yeah.
forgetting. Singing in the rain is
La
the
La
like
Oh,
Land
singing
type.
in the rain. Oh, as in umbrellas of Sherbu or
yes,
Sherbu,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
La La
saw
Land,
that
no?
Pastel,
movie.
pastel, yeah.
That's La La Land. Yeah, that's very much La La Land.
Yeah. You
And
don't like umbrellas of Sherbu? We will have to battle it out on that because I love Jacques Devis because this was inspired a lot by that, no?
yes,
In terms of
yes.
the colors and
Pastel aesthetics, yeah.
Not just that, it's just like the movie, like the love story and everything in the end, and that the two people actually get together in this, they actually get the reality check of that I don't love you kind of thing. Like,
I love
yeah,
that, huh?
yeah, I
My
really
heart
love that.
sank.
Yeah, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
really, I like that. This is more of the new age thoughtful cinema, is what I like. Mainstream cinema
Sure.
should be more thoughtful. It should not be preachy, but this is the right amount of preachy. There's a very tasteful
Oh,
preachy that I can actually accept. This is preachy, if you
then
say.
what's the most amount of preaching?
Woman talking, Aryan.
Yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
20th century woman, come on, like you have so
Oh,
Oh,
I
much.
I
love
love
that
that. I
film.
love
See,
that
then
film.
you can be preachy and tasteful at the same time, which is what I'm trying to say. Is
Exactly,
like
which is
and
why it's
Okay, fine. We get the
no, I get
animosity. Clear it
no,
up,
but
Aryan.
no, the thing that I'll always be very, very glad. I mean, who am I
yeah.
to validate
I
Govik? But
I
it's really
saw this
fortunate that
Swapnil and I was about to ban you, huh?
Dude, I
Sorry.
seriously, I read this and I was like, what the fuck, dude? Are you kidding
I'm
me?
sorry, but this is
Dude,
insulting.
I have
No
I
bad
have
words
tried
for
to
Agnes
convince
Varda.
I have tried to convince my wife to name our daughter Agnes.
Oh wow.
Like middle name at least. Come
No
on.
bad words for her. No
Yeah.
bad words for her. Yeah. Anyways, Aryan,
no,
you
no,
were
but
saying.
I really admire that. I mean, I just hope that producers and executives now give more money to not just female directors, but to boost these original ideas, even when they're based on an IP, to put it in a different way and
Barbie 2 आई
just
ना.
seeing
Yeah.
of course, just
Oh, you wait
seeing
and
a
watch.
filmmaker an indie filmmaker like Govik go from Lady Bird to this
Dude, Mistress
blockbuster.
America, remember that?
Yeah, oh god, yeah,
She was there in that with like Noah
yeah.
Baumbach direct.
Francis Han, yeah,
No,
Yeah,
but I would love
Francis was
to.
a
great.
very thoughtful
Yeah.
kind of, very thinking kind
Definitely.
of movie. Yeah, but
Even
like,
Mistress
I'd love
America
to
was good.
see Wes Anderson do some of the direction though, huh? In
yeah,
Barbie, I think it'll suit his vibe quite a bit in
yeah,
terms
this
of
one is
this.
very Wes
बाद में
Anderson.
उसका
Yeah.
वो क्या कहते हैं स्पिन ऑफ के लिए वुडी एलन को बुलाएंगे.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
We
करेंगे ना
already had
थोड़ा
three men talking
ये
about Barbie. I don't think we needed the Woody Allen
करेंगे ना लेकिन
reference.
Warner Brothers थोड़ा और डिस्कोर्स गरम कर
Let's
दे.
get Roman Polanski also for some writing.
No, he's good filmmaking.
Please don't.
Dude,
No, but
Really?
again, the
Swapnil,
best
is this
takeaway
like
I
just
would.
you're liking to throw all these statements, or do you actually want to back them
no,
up?
he wants to know. This is all just like he's trying to like be as Arnab Goswami as possible.
Okay, fine.
This-
Sorry, Aryan. Finish it
One
off
thing
so
I
that
was
we start
really,
again.
one thing I was really struck by last year is that a lot of women really felt this way, and that's where they
Sorry,
said that, oh,
I
this
just
is
read. Sorry, I read Varun's comment.
what is it?
I have to put it.
yeah. Dude, this is
Oh
Shut
God.
up, Varun.
this is chaotic evil. That's it.
Yeah. Aryan, go
I've
ahead.
had so many girls and I had so many people go
What
around
you had to
and
so
say
many
that,
girls?
oh,
What?
they,
Okay, I'll go on.
that too at a
Okay.
point.
Okay.
No, I've had so many people around me take this notion that, oh, probably this is how guys feel whenever they watch every summer blockbuster film in theaters, and that's a really great thing to harbor, I
Yeah, but
think.
they make fun of that whole thing, no? With the whole
Exactly,
the
yeah.
Godfather, especially.
Oh,
Which,
that is
yeah,
great, mansplaining
yeah,
sequence.
yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see more of such films, probably with
Ayengi,
some
sir. Let's just
subtext.
hope it's more. Oh my God. Fine.
What
I
again?
have no idea how to.
They're just
Uh,
accusing you. At this point, this is what a YouTube comment section actually feels like.
Thank you, Swapnil, for making us feel that we made it
Yeah, like,
somewhere.
this is thank you, man. Like, no,
Feeling आ गई, sir.
like
हाँ.
I saw this with my wife. I saw it like I saw Barbie thrice now. Okay,
Okay.
Wow, I've seen
yeah,
it twice. I should correct that.
and there is
Shouldn't watch it
I
twice.
actually felt like it hasn't gone down in it's a very rewatchable movie.
Yeah, yeah,
It is
definitely.
going to be
I liked it
like
better upon rewatch.
The second was right.
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I liked it the first time. The second time, third time, it felt like, oh well, okay, this is happening now. This is happening. It's a very like
Sure.
if you have read that Save the Cat book, like
Uh,
this is very much this is like textbook
Hitting all the notes,
screenplay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hitting
it
all.
really checks all the notes, and they have all this like. All the in humor, all the like it's very easy to catch in the first watch. It's not something you need like many layers to.
Multiple. It's not
But
Edgar Wright,
multiple, yeah, it's
actually.
it's not.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
But this tries and almost succeeds. I really
Yeah.
respect the fact that even this and Emma Seligman's this Bottoms, right?
Bottoms, you
Like
guys said, right? Yeah.
they
Bottoms is like,
quick, yeah, like, and this is
yeah.
what I really respect. I want movies to be this smart and not
Sure.
have like a lazy writing. This is good
Dude,
writing.
my
Yeah.
takeaway from last year, my favorite quote would be from Bottoms, where one of the characters at one point, while preparing for an event, is like, adrenaline is flowing, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's how entire year felt watching these
Yeah.
movies in 23 years.
It was a
Great year for that.
great year for
Great year for
movies.
films.
Really
Because
good.
I
दे
am
दो
the.
यार बारबी को एक दो बंद करो अभी
I did.
नाइस
Yeah.
मूवी
Anyways.
ये बोल देता हूँ end में.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. बोल दो भाई खत्म कर दो. Anyways, yes, we have. I think pretty much. Before this comment section explodes into
Yeah, dude.
something
When
else,
Shekhar Kapoor's
we-
Desert Queen is coming.
I think we should tune out. But yes, we might show up again for discussing the Oscars prediction, or maybe post. Maybe I think that's the better way to approach it actually, because this week is my Oscar catch up week, which basically means watching three, four movies per day. Let's hope that goes well. But yes, okay, fine, nice. We'll end with this. Khatam. Dunya bhi khatam.
He's actually a family friend, but he's a best friend of my dad's, his childhood friend.
Oh wow. Done. What a revelation.